Final Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Houdini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
Have you vomited yet, Alex?
No. I haven't gone to church.
You haven't gone to church? What's wrong with you?
Well, I don't want to vomit.
You don't need to be, I don't know, exercised?
No, I need exercise, not exercised.
I think we all do. Welcome, Matt. Good to have you back, man.
Hello.
He's been exercised.
Here. Yeah, it's the spirit leaving me so I can speak.
Yeah.
Hello, Alex. Hello, Steve.
Hey, it's good to have you, man.
There's my T-Rex.
Hello, everyone in the chat.
Oh yeah, the T-Rex. Yeah, the T-Rex thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He said he was muted. I said, oh, he's got short hands as well.
That's right. I can't reach the mute button.
Yeah.
Yeah, say hello. Yeah, it's tons of people there. Michelle, Adrian, Paul, Barry's in there, Temporal, Mars, Mark, holy Quinn, Adrian. Did I say Adrian? Mark? I said Mark. And the Secret Vault, some guy named the Secret Vault's in there too. And ma'am. Cool. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and watching here on YouTube. And you know what, Matt, we had a pretty good conversation the last time you're on because, man, you get a lot of knowledge when it comes to the paranormal and UFOs, crop circles, and all kinds of. Well, you're a multifaceted kind of guy, right?
I've had a lot of experiences. I wouldn't class myself as the greatest encyclopedia, but I can usually remember something enough to go and manage to find the details if I need to put the pin in it. So
see,
yeah,
he was doing
the
T-Rex.
Yeah,
I can go like this.
You're not going to live it down.
Yeah. Nope. For the radio listeners, I'm moving my hand like a T-Rex for a mouse. So yeah.
Yeah, Cyrus and Adam, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Well, I guess one question is, what are your thoughts about, are we alone? Are we alone in this vast universe? And have we been visited?
I was going to say, are we alone?
Your thoughts?
We've got 56 people watching, so we're definitely not alone.
We're not alone, no. Exactly.
We're not alone.
We're not alone.
Yeah. When you get down to one person listening, time to change the strategy. But yeah,
we'll pull out the secret technology.
Well, seriously, I think no, we're not alone. I broadly, you can say, I believe in the afterlife. I've seen UFOs, and I think that there's possibly other life out there which is not even sort of physical, which is kind of floating around the universe, which maybe we couldn't even understand what it was, and it doesn't understand us, and we wouldn't understand it. Energetic life forms, even not just physical nuts and bolts craft. I think there's a possibility that things exist in very unusual ways out there. Just like on Star Trek, it's like we'll discover them when they get into our warp core and start causing problems, and we'll go, oh, we're going to flush the warp core, and it'll be like, no, don't flush the warp core. It's a sentient being, and it'll be like, oh, okay then. I like that kind of theory.
What do you think the percentage? What are your thoughts on the percentage of, say, UFOs or UAPs or whatever that have been witnessed over the years are actually, from another world?
Of course, I think most sightings have rational explanations, and I think that the general public that aren't trained or don't kind of look at this stuff a lot, they kind of they get carried away. That's obvious. They pull out the camera phone and they take a photo of something, and then they go, that must be a UFO. Sometimes you can find rational explanations for those things. I would say most things can be rationally sort of put to one side, but there is always a core of very good quality cases multiple witness sightings, sort of high credibility sightings backed up with other evidence as well, which then become more interesting. So they're obviously the very low percentage, of, you're talking probably less than 1% of all sightings out there that would come into what would class as a high quality in terms of ufology, but I
Yeah.
mean, then you've got the paranormal, like, do I believe we're sort of alone? Well, maybe this spirit world could be classed as a kind of alien life form,
Yeah. That's
it could be.
Well, there's always that possibility too
Yeah.
that what we're witnessing is like a glimpse into an alternate universe.
Yeah. So I think, I've come to believe that we are definitely not on our own, spiritually and possibly with other alien life forms in this physical realm. And then when we die, we become ether and we go off somewhere else. So then we would interact possibly with, maybe ghosts wonder if there are aliens because they see strange things they can't understand, you know. Ghosts are
Who?
kind of going, well, hang on a minute, I saw this strange thing and it doesn't add up because, like, all of us ghosts, we can't explain that, so then you've got ghost scientists trying to explain it perhaps to ghosts.
Well, you got the the theory, and people often kind of throw that out that maybe they're not actually the ghosts that we are. I mean, the possibility that is reverse.
Yeah, and maybe some of this stuff is psychic in origin, like there's telepathy going on, and some of it's like a feedback loop. Your experience is going out there, coming back and talking to you. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like a mirror effect, kind of, maybe, possibly. I don't put it out of the realms of possibility because I believe in telepathy and powers, mental powers, and other types of powers that people don't like to kind of normally acknowledge. I've
Yeah.
experienced some stuff myself, which is pretty bizarre over the years, psychokinetics and poltergeist stuff. So I believe that
Oh,
there's,
really?
yeah. I mean, I had a lot of stuff in a place in Bishop's Cannings. I would have things flying off shelves, and there was no way that these things would have just propelled themselves. But it was always, I always found it was happening. It would always happen just out of vision. Something would fly off, and you'd go, "How did that do that?" There's nobody in the room. Something was well lodged wherever it was. Sat on the shelf, and there's no windows open, doors open to kind of wind to be a factor. And I, I'm still torn between whether or not that's an external thing or
Mhm.
whether or not it's an internal thing. Because I mean, I've had some stuff happen to me. I mentioned it briefly about the car ride where I was very tense, and I noticed that all the needles were in the red
Mhm.
on the
Yeah, I
car.
remember
And then
that. Yeah.
when I de-stressed myself, all the needles went down. Got out of the car, went into the house, and I just, before I got in to the house, because I knew that there may be stressful conversation, I kind of just one last let release
Mm.
of the breath, to kind of like before I, cross the threshold for some interesting conversations, let's say. And I just kind of looked very intensely, and I just gazed at a glass ball that was probably about 30 feet away, and it was one of these fishing net balls, and I gazed at it, and I felt it literally. I felt something leave me as it happened, like as if it was like something was leaving me as I was de-stressing. It was like something came out and it shattered the ball. The ball just exploded. It didn't just crack. It just went into parts.
Wow.
So, I've had experiences like that over the years, and I think that we all have powers that we don't not necessarily know how to tap into.
Oh, I agree
And
fully. I agree. Like, and I mean, most of these things, most people wouldn't really bat an eye at it. They really
Mm.
wouldn't think about it seriously and just, oh, it was nothing. When
Plus, I
realistically,
mean, if that's a personal, sorry, it was a personal experience. You
Mhm.
could easily discount it. I've got
Yeah.
a lot of personal experiences, but I like my own experiences when there's more than one person involved. Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, no, no,
Sorry, sorry.
no, that's fine. But I
Yeah.
mean, most people just wouldn't really, whatever. That was nothing. I mean, something as small as, say, like deja vu, like something
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you're in some location, whatever, it doesn't matter, and then all of a sudden this overwhelming feeling of familiarity comes across. You're like, okay, why do I feel like this is so familiar? Like I've been here before,
Mm.
or like you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden it's like, I know this person, but for some reason I can't think of ever seeing this person before, but I know them.
I get this strange feeling when I'm usually driving my car. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether there's some sort of like automatic brain thing going on where I'm thinking to myself, like, what would happen if I got into an accident now? I just
Mm,
wonder if there's something in the back of my brain. But when I'm driving along, I have quite a lot of deja vus of like, I crashed here, but not me. Another me
mhm,
crashed here right now. But in a funny way, I've come to kind of I know this is going to sound wacky because I'm not people don't know who I am, and there's a lot of stories that go back to make me feel a certain way about experiences. But I mean,
yeah.
how that comes across to me, I'll cut to the chase,
Mhm,
is I feel that it's like an alternate reality version
mm,
of me has had an accident at that point. I know it sounds weird, it's kind of off the wall, but it's almost like as if something just happened, but not to me, to somebody else right now in a kind of a different alternate realm. And yeah, it's kind of weird. And even weirder, this is going to get really weird, right?
that's what we love. We love it when it gets
Yep.
really weird.
Okay. I mean, tell us
uh,
in the chat if anybody's ever had any experiences like
yeah.
this, because I've had uh and I know you could chalk this up to rational. There are rational explanations for this, I'm sure. I was driving along in my car one day,
Mhm.
and the next thing I know, I'm like slammed around a rock. My car's crashed. I
Oh.
don't know why, whether I blanked out, fell asleep. I wasn't tired, but I ended up wrapped around a rock. And I don't remember having the crash, and there was no physical pain or anything from having, had the crash. I just woke up. I just woke up and I'm like, huh, what the hell's just happened here?
Mm,
And I'm like,
yeah.
and I can't remember the preceding moments up to it. And just a little, I'm not saying that I know this to be fact. I'm just saying that a little thought has gone through my head since that time. It's kind of like, did I actually die there? And I've been reset and put into a alternate reality, like a game, like where you get like you get another life, and I'm just like, that's so weird. It's just like I've just woken up and here I am, and I don't know how I got to be doing this, you know. And it's like, so that was kind of weird. I'm just saying, I'm just giving this as I'm just throwing these in as just like little weird stuff that's happened to me over the years.
Yeah.
But I just think that sometimes, if we die, we don't die. We maybe don't even become ghosts. I think maybe we just come back somewhere else, almost like a Groundhog Day. Like you can't actually die. I I've kind of thought about this. I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm
Yeah.
just saying I've thought about it. Like you can't necessarily die because you'll just come back somewhere else in a different scenario.
God, I hope
And
you're
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah,
God, I
Alex
hope you're
doesn't
yeah,
want to
wrong,
come
man.
back. Alex doesn't want to
yeah.
come back here.
I don't want to come
Bit
back.
like the Matrix, they just plug you back
Matrix, yeah.
in, but at a different time, and then you kind of
Christ.
like wipe it a bit of your memory, and you kind of carry on.
Quite possibly a whole different dimension, if you will. Like that transition could it be that it could be multiverse sort of a multiverse sort of scenario where, we're here now, and the death is actually like a transition into, say, another dimension or another like a multiverse, like sort of I don't know, hiccup, if you will. I don't know.
Mm.
And that perhaps when that happens, maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe that's what some people are experiencing when they see people, or what they think are ghosts are actually maybe could it possibly be that transition?
A different version of reality that is just impinging, coming across. And maybe when we speak to the spirit world, they know a lot about us, but they often give like slightly different answers, not exactly what you expect, maybe because it's different where they are, And uh, I I uh, I took some psychedelics once, okay, and I went to Avebury Stone Circle and I visualized a portal and I went through it.
Hmm.
And when I went to the other side, everything was different. Like that, well, not everything. I mean, a lot of general things were the same, but there were houses where I've never seen houses, and there were things was just very subtly different, and I kind of wondered, it's just like little ideas that run around my mind. It's like maybe some people shift shift realities.
Hmm.
They actually slip.
Yeah.
And that happened to me before the TV series. I got to remember it now. Where uh, what was the name of it? I'm sorry. It was the one where they had the Men in Black chasing down these
Fringe.
two. Fringe. That's the one.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, that's
And
an excellent show.
what was the premise of Fringe? It was that there were multiple dimensions and you
Hmm.
could slip between them, and you'd have another version of yourself would be in that dimension, and it's like you could go into that dimension and this other person would be having a life. But there was another series which kind of touched upon this as well. Now I'd never read
Yeah.
the book, but The Man in the High Castle.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there's that one in, oh, go ahead, Matt, sorry.
Yeah, The Man in the High Castle was all about multiple dimensions,
Hmm.
and it was that people slip. They slip between dimensions, but you could actually force it to happen through technology. You could make some machine that would make it happen so you could go through. But some people naturally had this ability to kind of connect themselves with this
yeah.
other self,
Mm.
and they could actually move through, boom, into another reality, which
That
was
wasn't
them.
that wasn't exposed until towards the middle to the end of the series. Actually,
Sorry for the spoilers. Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But it was a great series nonetheless. I watched it. The ending was kind of disappointing, but it was actually overall it was a good series.
Yeah.
there was another series too that was quite similar, and oh god, I can't remember the guy's name, the actor's name, but the premise was that there was an alternate world on the other side of this sort of zone. There was like a
Yeah.
buffer zone, and they couldn't, they weren't allowed to cross through. At certain times, certain people with clearance were able to go, and you could actually see your other self in the other world. And this one guy actually goes and he switches with his other self to sort of, I guess, correct a situation that happened with his wife. What was the name of the show now? Oh my god, it was on Prime, I believe.
Hmm.
But
Mm.
cool show.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to kind of when you feel these deja vus,
Mhm.
and maybe at those moments you're kind of picking up like the veil is closer.
Mhm.
There's you're very close to that experience which is going on somewhere else. And I just thought to myself, I mean, I wondered if, like, at that moment when I'd been close to one of these car crash things, which is it's a regular kind of thing that goes through my mind if I'm driving along. It's not every day, but like I'll be driving along and all of a sudden I'll get this like wave of like, whoa, something's going on somewhere else. And it's almost like I wonder, I feel like when I saw that man in the high castle, I feel like that character. It's like they can feel something, and then bang, they've gone there. They're in that other dimension. They've actually crossed through, which is like the feeling I got when I did this visualization of the portal,
Mhm.
and I feel I went through. And I wonder whether I'm still in that dimension now, or whether I've moved into a different dimension, whether I'm slipping back and forth between some of these things, and you just don't even realize it. Maybe this is where people disappear, because you hear these disappearance
Yeah.
cases where, people just disappear into thin air or walk into a cloud, like an army walked into a cloud and disappeared. There's this famous story about it, and it's like, did they just actually not disappear? They went into another dimension.
Sab wants to know your thoughts on astral projection and remote viewing. And I was going to kind of say, something along the lines of the possibility of us going into sleep mode.
Uh,
Is it a possibility that we're actually going into that alternate universe or alternate world even for, and obviously in sleep mode, when we're sleeping subconsciously, time really has no bearing, does it?
mm,
So I mean, is it a possibility that we go into this sort of alternate universe or alternate world when we go into sleep mode? And because I mean, you look at some of the dreams that we have are so vivid and so realistic. Is it really happening?
mm. Well, I know people who do remote viewing,
Yeah.
and I've not got into it much myself,
Mhm.
but they have had good results with it. They believe that it's a good thing. It works. I'm going to have somebody on the show. Actually, well, we've been saying this for months, and we haven't actually arranged it yet. But I'm going to get more paranormal guests on my show. I'm gonna actually start doing it, because I've been promising myself I would. But yeah, there's a guy called Daryl Smith, and he did some remote viewing,
Mhm.
and I think he managed to, what was it? I can't remember which event it was, but he managed to remote view a disaster event uh, before it happened. So remote viewing can go forward and backwards in time. It's not always accurate, because things can change. Not everything is set down in stone, and this is why apparently you can only remote view into the future so much. There's like a wall remote viewers talk about. It's like
Mm.
a wall, and some of
Yeah.
them say, "Is this the end of everything, or is it just that there's some sort of block there that you can't seem to sort of go too far into the future?" You can tend to go a lot into the past, but which past? Because you have to lock it down. You have to say, like, I don't want to just go back into the any past. I want to go back into this past. And people are kind of, they forget that there's a lot of fluidity there with these things, which some people would say is a cop out, because if things don't come out the way they're meant to, then people would say, well, your answer was not accurate. But remote viewing seems to sort of find a weird way around that, because remote viewers often don't ask a specific question about a location or a thing. And quite often, remote viewers will answer questions that are in sealed envelopes that they don't have access to, but they'll end up answering the wrong question from the wrong envelope. So they'll answer another question, which was not the one they were focusing on, but they'll answer something else. And so it seems like the remote viewing experience is aware of all the questions you're going to ask, but it's sometimes not easy to pin the one down that you wanted. You can't always get the right answer. Um, but yeah, I'm interested in that. And regarding astral travel and
Mhm.
and things, I think it's a good possibility. I mean, it's probably connected to the remote viewing thing. And I felt on occasions. I mean, I even did this stuff years ago, where I was told that if you kind of went to sleep in a certain way and you did certain little practices, in fact, I was told one of the things you could do is to be like a mummy and put your hands across your chest, because this is what promoted the astral traveling. It was like you sort of go to sleep like this. So I was trying a lot of these sorts of things, and yeah, I had some interesting experiences. I can't say that I can add them up, because a lot of the time, you forget some of the details, and I should have been writing them down, which is another thing you should train yourself to do, is
Yeah,
wake up,
dream journal sort of thing.
write your dreams down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just, if I've woken up, I've sometimes done a video and stuck it on YouTube. Just said, I've just had this really weird dream. Don't know what it means, but I'm just going to put it out there, and just I've recorded silly little videos like that.
And how often do you? I'm sure you probably get a
Mm.
lot of comments on something like that. And I
Mm.
mean, is there some really constructive sort of comments that make you wonder? Well, hey, that could possibly be exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of try to
Mm.
we try to disassemble the dream, and
Mhm.
people talk about, archetypal stuff. And I mean, it's quite obvious that dreams a lot of the time are your brain playing through scenarios, um, things that you haven't worked out in your life, or that
Mhm.
questions you're asking, and you play them out in a dream, like you do in general day life. You kind of say, well, what if I do this? Well, this might happen, or this might happen, or this might happen. But what if I do it this way? Well, this and this might happen. So it's like your brain is an alternate dimension machine, because it's doing pretty much the scenario that, if scientists are correct, and multiple variations of reality can exist where you've done all those different options. And quantum science is talking about some of this as well, where, you kind of like, when you ask a question, or you pose something, the quantum universe provides all the variations of the answer, and
Yeah.
sort of locks on to kind of the most probable for this dimension. But in a different scenario, in a different dimension, you could have different possibilities. So yeah, I mean, I believe you dream, you generate the dreams, and I believe that you can also go outside that mechanism. Friend of mine, Jordan's quite interesting, because he's got autism, but he's very
Okay.
highly functioning, and
Yeah.
he tells me that he always controls all his dreams.
Oh wow.
He has perfect control over all his dreams every time he dreams, which is
Hmm.
interesting, which a lot of
Does
us
does
don't seem
does
to
he
have.
do anything to over the years? Has he done like some sort of exercises or anything, or is it just natural?
It's just natural for him.
Wow.
It's just a facet of his autism, but he always uses it to just have fun, because he makes his dreams do what he wants, and he goes to outrageous situations and does things, with people and places that, give him good good memories, if you want. So
Yeah.
yeah, he kind of he milks it for the best times he
Why
can.
wouldn't you? I'd do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
Alex, you were saying, weren't you for a little bit trying to astral project or
I tried. Well, I
lucid
tried
dream?
meditation first.
Yeah.
And this was going back my high school years. So I was like in my late teens.
Mhm.
And I'd gotten to a point where I could just lay down on my back and within minutes fall asleep. Right. Because part of the reason why I wanted to do meditation was because I was having issues falling asleep. It would take me sometimes up to an hour just to fall asleep. So I started doing this meditation on a friend's recommendation. And I got to a point, like I said, within minutes, I'd lie back and I'd fall asleep. But then one night, I'm in bed, go through the
Mhm.
routine, close my eyes, lie on my back, clear my mind. And as I'm in that sort of half in, half out state,
Yeah.
is when I felt like it felt like I was leaving my body. Now, at the time, I had no idea what astral projection was or out of body experiences. So it freaked me out and it snapped me awake. Right.
Hmm.
And since then, I haven't successfully meditated again. I don't know if it's because of that. And at the time, I could argue it was because of the fear, but I mean, I know more now than I did back then. It shouldn't be that, but I just can't do it. Every time I try to lie back and meditate, and I don't know, just like,
Well,
okay,
maybe
fuck it,
you
I
have
end
a
up
lot
turning
more.
around or whatever. You know what I mean?
Maybe you have a lot more going on in your life now
That too.
that
But I mean,
yeah.
even prior to my daughter's birth and whatnot, it was difficult. I've tried and it just wasn't working for me. I'd always find myself at some point turning over to my side, which is what I naturally sleep on.
Mhm.
Sometimes it happens, and it's like I realize after the fact, like, what the hell, you know, it's
Oh,
not.
here we go. Another side sleeper. Get him off.
Yeah, yeah, get them off.
Do you think that a part of your system might have been saying, hang on, this is something I don't know how to kind of handle. So
Yeah.
safety mechanisms kick in,
Yeah.
which kind of prevent us from doing things we're not too sure about. Like you've obviously had some guidance from somebody to do the meditation, which has worked, and you've gone somewhere, but then you've got confident, and sort of like jumped into it, kind of like you're in both feet first, and you're kind of like,
Mhm.
whoa, I can get into this now really quickly, and boof. Then when something happens you don't expect,
Yep.
it's kind of like, then you go, well, hang on a minute now. And it sounds like guidance is a good way to kind of get people into these things, because
Mhm.
doing things yourself on your own, sometimes we always doubt ourselves and our own kind of, can I do this, can't I do it? Your brain's kind of playing tricks with you, and that's why hypnosis works, because like guided meditation or doing something with somebody else present, it kind of helps you to kind of overcome that fear
Yeah.
or that reservation,
Mhm.
and it gives you those extra tools to kind of go back and try again, and maybe that's what you need to do. I just got that kind of vibe from it. It's kind of like you had a weird experience, so you've almost naturally and quite correctly, because that's the way the brain works, is kind of say, hang on, no.
Yeah.
And then you haven't really been able to get back to that point. Maybe you need to go and see the person that you were chatting to about the meditation again, and work back up to that level, but with a kind of more of a focal kind of a
Yeah.
focused idea of where you're going to take it next time.
I think I need to
And
start meditating also. I used to meditate. The goal initially was to help me fall asleep.
Hmm.
The problem is, if I want to go beyond just meditation to the astral projection side, it can't be done when I'm trying to meditate while falling asleep.
Mhm.
It's got to be done like I got to sit down on maybe a reclining chair when I'm wide awake and sort of clear my mind and focus that way, because the last thing I want is to fall asleep when I'm trying to astral project as well. Right? So it's finding that time now also to be able to do that. It gets a bit tricky, but I want to, and I want to get in touch with somebody who's local. Hopefully, find someone who's local who can sort of guide me that way. You know what I mean?
mm,
You
just
hear that, folks?
get a little bit of feedback, because I suppose I'm guessing that those around you aren't necessarily in that same headspace, because you're the meditator.
Yeah.
You can't go and ask your daughter,
No.
maybe, and your partner, they maybe not on that level. So yeah, go and maybe speak to people that are on that same wavelength,
Yep.
because around your normal environment it may not be comfortable to do so.
I'm definitely gonna have to give it a shot.
Mm.
I've been wanting to do it for a long time.
See, this is urbex, but like in your own home, in
Yeah.
your own
Mhm.
head,
Yeah.
exploring the universe.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and it's free.
uh, you could
No
you could
petrol.
you could definitely
No
find
petrol.
some really interesting abandoned locations there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a sec, this building seems endless.
Mm.
I can't get out. Oh god. Um, yeah, that's really really neat. I mean, and over the years, I'm sure you two are both the same, where you've had so many dreams that have been so realistic and so vivid and so like intriguing. And yet when you wake up, you can only remember just bits and pieces of it, but it must have went for like hours. And yet when you wake up, those bits and pieces are only like a few minutes, a few seconds. And just imagine if you're able to remember it all, like remember every detail. I mean, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, having a photographic memory or being
Yeah.
able to train yourself in those techniques. I've always said to myself, like, I'd love to sit down and train myself in some techniques which would make my memory clearer, get better recall, and things like that. I mean, I've heard of people, and it's if I had to do an exam, which I thought this is going to be a really hard one, and generally exams I've done, I've known I can do them, so therefore I've
Mhm.
never needed to employ a technique. But one technique you can use to ace exams is get hypnosis before you do the exam,
Oh, wow.
because they can hypnotize you to recall better, and it'll have a temporary effect because hypnosis tends to wear off. It doesn't, it needs to be recharged, if you kind of keep going with it. But like they can hypnotize you the day before,
Mhm.
and they can say, look, in the morning at this time, this is going to kick in. And you're going to be really good in the exam, and it's like ding. You can get really good recall, and you can do things like that. So we've all got these powers and these abilities locked away inside us to kind of access powers of the mind, maybe even powers of telepathy and other things. Not necessarily that hypnosis can kind of turn on some of those other powers, but certainly the power of your own mind can be
Yeah.
harnessed. Alex with his meditation, it's techniques which can be used to kind of get yourself into these special headspaces, which can be relaxing and can take you other places.
I mean, we're talking about what 10%, 8% of the brain that we use or we know how to use. But imagine being able to patch into that other 90%. I mean,
I've
the
always
possibilities.
questioned that.
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
always
you
I think we use
a
probably
lot
about
more.
90% of our
Oh,
brains,
really?
but
Okay.
but but, scientists don't know what they're talking
Mm.
about with
Yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff. They're kinda hypothesizing, "Oh, he only
Yeah.
uses 4% of his brain," because it's like they're looking at electrical signals, and they're going, "Well, there doesn't seem to be a lot of electrics going." How do they know how much electrics need to be there to make certain things happen? I mean, we don't understand the mind. We can't, like, provide a
Plus,
computer
different
link
parts
to
of
the
the brain,
brain.
different parts of the
Yeah.
brain light up under different circumstances, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sort of normal what we understand in normal sense. But I mean, there are I was watching like I love this program I saw with a guy called Al Jalili. It was on the BBC, but I watched it on YouTube, and he was talking about quantum physics and how they've now said that robins don't use well, birds, they used to think they navigated by magnetics, and they thought it might be in their eye
Mm.
so that they could feel the field of the magnetics, so they knew where they were on the globe and they could travel across continents to get to where they were when they were migrating. And they say, no, they've totally changed their theory on this now. And it's like, ooh, so I'm listening. Oh, right, new theory. Quantum. Quantum effects on your chemistry in your body picked up by the brain. So
Mhm.
quantum communication, quantum signals being picked up by your body and telling you where things are. And the more I keep hearing about quantum, I was going on about this 30 years ago when I first heard about quantum entanglement.
Mhm.
Quick explanation of that is if you've got one quantum particle here and you take a part of it to the other part of to the other side of the universe, which would be like 100,000 light years for
Mhm.
communication purposes. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you send a signal from here now, radio, take 100,000 years for that signal to get there. But you've taken this particle all the way to the other end of the universe. If you spin this particle, that one spins as well immediately at exactly the same time. Right. When I heard that, right, I was like, wow, right, all bets are off. I thought, right, okay, and I could apply this to, well, telepathy could be possible, you know, maybe thoughts back through time because quantum mechanics deals with time as well. So there is no time to quantum mechanics.
Mhm.
So um, vast distances could be covered, so we could communicate from one side of the universe. And I'm thinking, like, well, hang on a minute, what about this subtle universe we don't know anything about? if something so subtle can communicate across the universe without time, and we don't know anything about this underlying physics that pins reality, the underpinning of reality that we live in, I thought, wow, so maybe they can be ghosts, maybe they can be magic, maybe they can be special things going on. All bets are off. I mean, like, you got all these scientists who are telling us everything's physical, don't believe in religions, it's all physical, it's all physical. And now they're telling you, no, believe in the metaphysics underneath it all. And
Mhm.
we can kind of prove this weird shit is there, but we don't know how it works. It's like, it's weird shit. It's very weird shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all bets are off as far as I'm concerned. I think that, this is just opening a can of worms that, eventually we're going to probably be speaking to the spirit world using quantum computers and things like that. We'll be speaking to other dimensions using this quantum technology.
That'd be incredible. That'd be
I think it's
crazy.
great. So if robins can navigate and birds can navigate by quantum fields and they're picking them up in their bodies, then what's the problem with me picking up a quantum signal from somebody else somewhere else? It's
And
all without time, without distance. And if you spin one quantum particle here, just one quantum particle, another one picks it up somewhere else and resonates with that.
wow,
So therefore, what's wrong with telepathy?
exactly.
Yeah.
It just you think if you're able to, and again, you look at it like this, a thought, the speed of a thought
Yeah.
traveling, uh, throughout the universe, is what, much faster than light, you
Mm.
figure?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were told there's a limit to the distance and time and, space-time, electrons, but we're not dealing with electrons. We're dealing with things that are beyond electrons,
Mhm.
that make up electrons, that are the fundamentals of the universe. And these things travel without time across the whole of the universe instantaneously.
Yeah, it's just
You
incredible.
know,
Just
just makes you think that there's like some sort of hidden mechanism that one day we'll find out, and then maybe you can just think something into existence or, you know, communicate with somebody by the power of the mind. You don't need
uh,
mobile phone towers. You just need to tap into what we've already got. We've already got it.
yeah, CERN are trying to open a portal. Have they already though? That's the question. Trying to open a portal. I kind of think maybe they have opened a portal.
I thought
Certain
they opened a
places.
portal to
Yeah.
Uranus.
Yeah.
Oh man, forced the quantum physics through. God. Oh man.
Yeah.
uh, but
There's an expressway being opened to my anus. It's 20 open 24/7. I'm so sorry, lowering the tone there.
I've already lowered it. Don't worry.
No, he has.
Yeah.
uh, and who's to say that another civilization, a life form out there, have already harnessed this sort of technology, and they are visiting us here, and I keep saying that perhaps we're looking at it from a sort of we've always from a physical sort of standpoint with these other life forms, but why not different frequencies? Something that we humans can't understand because we don't have the knowledge right now to understand, and we can't communicate because we don't have that information. So why can't it be a frequency? Why can't it be something that is totally undiscovered to us?
Yeah. And I think there's tricks and secrets to the universe which are going to enable us to go faster than the speed of light, or that light becomes irrelevant because
Mm,
we're traveling through some medium that isn't part of this physical reality. You might be able to, as you say, change frequency,
mhm,
shift out of this reality into a
mm.
temporary alternate space,
Yeah.
travel as fast as you want, and then flip back. And this is the kind of like wormhole theory, or maybe sort of quantum dimensions. You can literally just press a button and appear halfway across the galaxy. Not even like warp travel in Star Trek. You don't have to spend time doing it. You just literally go, I want to be there now, bang, I'm there. Bit more like the Dune idea of
Yeah.
folding space,
Folding space. Yeah.
traveling without moving.
Yeah. That'd be
Literally
insane.
will it into existence. The creatures in the Dune novel by Frank Herbert,
Yeah.
they were advanced humans that had been using a substance called the spice, but they had developed to a point where their brains were so large that they were much bigger than their bodies, and their bodies had atrophied. So they had T-Rex hands. There we are, Alex. That's a compliment. Yeah. So his brain is so big. His hands have gone small. How do we
You don't
get to
see
this
it, but
point
I have
after?
I have a strap here holding my head up.
Yeah. By the way, he does have normal size hands. This was just a joke about the mute
Yeah.
button, so this is how this started. But
We're gonna have to compare it. We're gonna, Alex. You're gonna have to break out one of those fucking burritos here. Come on,
Yeah.
yeah,
got to do a comparison.
but
Next time
these
I'll remember.
Yeah.
these creatures that were known as the Navigators, the Navigator Guild, they were basically very advanced humans that had developed way beyond anything we could recognize. They were like slugs, basically, but with huge heads.
Yeah.
And when they wanted to transport a ship from A to B, one of these creatures would just look into the depths of the universe with their mind, and they would know all the possibilities of everything, what could be past, present, and future, and they would know where everything was and what was happening, and they would simply will the ship to be somewhere else, and it would just be there. That was it. Just disappears and appears somewhere else, and
And
that's how they navigated.
not only will the ship to be from one position to another, or one location to another, whatever, but the shape of it, the entire being of that ship alters through
Mm,
the thought.
mm.
You know.
An interesting concept, that thought might be what we come back to in the future. Technology will diminish when human intelligence becomes powerful enough. We won't need the computers. Everybody's expecting the future to be computers and
Mm,
mobile phones and this and that. Maybe there'll be a transition period where we learn how to turn on our abilities through technology. But once we're turned on,
mhm.
then you won't maybe need that technology, because you will be that kind of super being that can kind of will things to happen. And, you know,
Beam me
yeah,
up, Scotty.
yeah,
Quit. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it's fascinating to think that sure, maybe theory, but I mean, God, I mean, the possibilities there. Why not? Why not? And I mean, who's to say that certain people weren't already heading in that direction that made these breaking sort of I mean, you look at people like Tesla, right?
Mm,
And what he discovered and was shut down for. What was that technology, or was that knowledge passed to him?
mm.
You know, I
And
mean,
there's various discoveries have happened. I think the guy who discovered Pluto said that he dreamt about it, then he went looking for it and discovered it.
yeah.
It's kind of, there are lots of people who've come up with ideas, um, and a lot of other people have come up with ideas at the same time, which is this like hundredth monkey syndrome. If
Mhm,
anybody's ever heard about this, hundredth monkey syndrome is that monkeys living on an island, completely removed from the land. They obviously, monkeys don't have mobile phones, they don't have television, they don't have a way to communicate with other monkeys on the mainland. However, it's been observed that monkeys that learn a new trick, maybe with a stick or a rock, or they learn some new hunting technique, suddenly the monkeys on the mainland start exhibiting the same behavior, like as if They've all learnt it at the same time. And this goes to this idea that maybe we're all talking to each other on this telepathic plane, but we don't
Yeah.
we don't necessarily understand that we are doing that. And this is why I say I don't. I'm not. I've shied away from this kind of like we only use 4 to 10% of our brain. I think the other bits of the brain that you're not using are probably communicating in some way into this quantum realm or this other realm, because this is how you get precognition of like knowing somebody's gonna make a phone you when you haven't spoken to them for a while, or thinking about somebody and then you meet them. It's kind of like all these things are kind of like echoes in there's this field of communication that's going on out there. Maybe we're picking up the sort of possibilities from the future trickling down, or we're projecting out to each other, and then you kind of will each other to kind of meet, because you kind of going, well, I haven't met him, so you've sent that out there, and the other person's gone, oh, I just received a message, he hasn't met me, oh yeah, I haven't met him. And then it's like you almost will each other to kind of like, oh look, we just met, and then you go, that's a real coincidence. Maybe we create the coincidences because we actually gravitate like magnets towards these events. Maybe we're the ones creating the coincidences, but then we ascribe, oh, isn't it weird? Something else is making the coincidence. We always want to look for ways to kind of diminish our own, responsibility and our own involvement in these weird events. But I mean, like I say, I'm not even sure that the poltergeist activity in my house wasn't just being something coming out of me, because
You're
I mean, like I say,
generating,
I'm
yeah.
generating it, and a lot of people believe that pubescent girls have a lot more paranormal activity, like poltergeists, and it seems to be triggered by puberty.
Puberty, yeah.
And so, are the poltergeists real, or is it just that you happen to be more poltergeist active? The poltergeist like you when you're becoming pubescent, or is it that something's happening in you that's making the poltergeist activity happen in a way that you don't understand?
I
Of
mean,
course,
is it?
everyone externalizes. They go, "That's external. I don't know what that is. I'm afraid of that." Instead of saying, "Maybe I'm doing that. Maybe it's something coming out of me." That everyone externalizes everything. They try to diminish their own responsibility to everything.
Is it an extension of when you're a child and you have that imaginary friend? At least everybody thinks it's an imaginary friend, but is it actually somebody you're conversing with, somebody you're talking with that's actually there?
Mm.
And the poltergeist activity later on, when it comes to puberty, generating that, is it just is it the evolution with some people? Because most people just totally lose all that, but some people seem to retain it, and it evolves.
Some people, they get this clairvoyant type stuff happen to them as
Yeah,
children, and they grow up and they don't lose it.
yeah,
They embrace it, and they carry
retain.
on with that. I know
Yeah,
quite a few people like that.
hmm
But for most people, I think part of growing up, and it is that sort of pubescent, it's like that's that point where you're going to kind of solidify a lot of what you think and then start settling down.
hmm
You'll have a lot of interesting experiences in your life, but you kind of solidifying all of your teaching, everything in society that society expects from you and wants you to be. And then that's it. You're ready to go now. Off you trundle into the world, varying about, but just basically working in with the construct that you've created for yourself. So it's like
yeah.
the prison, or the maze. You've created a maze for yourself. What happens if that maze includes things like the paranormal, psychic abilities? I think we put our own blinkers on, and we blinker ourselves, and it's very hard to remove those blinkers.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what I've been saying for years. I mean, I think with all the filters that are thrown at you from birth, and it sort of hampers your natural abilities, and you lose them. And some people manage to find them, regain them later on, and weed their way through those filters that society implants in your brain on a daily basis. But yeah, I do believe that most of us do have that ability. It's just a matter of trying to figure it out, trying to harness it.
And I think natural selection as well has
Hmm.
removed these things from us because society doesn't like this. It's
Yeah.
superstitious.
Hmm.
It's the dark stuff, and
Yeah.
it's been classed as dark by lots of religions to kind
Yep.
of delve into these things. And anyone who says they have special powers is either killed or becomes Jesus. You know,
Mm.
it's kind of like it's either going to go one of two ways, and it's kind of like you're either going to become revered, and people are going to go, oh yeah, yeah. Everyone else is going to go, yeah, bollocks, and so, or you're going to get killed for it.
Yeah.
So the most amount of society that will succeed
Hmm.
and not get into trouble are the ones that just exhibit normal, everyday characteristics and behaviors. Natural selection, natural evolution. These fringe people that appear on the edges, a lot of people will dismiss them. They kind of go, "Oh yeah, that's okay," but yeah, we don't believe that, and they spiral off in their own directions and become the thing of legend and myth. But
Yeah.
imagine if all society grew up like these figures, with all that sort of potential turned on. Be a very different society.
Oh yeah. We're gonna take a short break here for station identification for those who are listening on the New Visions Radio Network. I want to thank Matt Williams of the Secret Vault for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Secret Vault, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hold tight, guys. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening and watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course on our YouTube and Twitch channels and wherever else. Thank you. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the New Visions Radio Network. And of course, YouTube. Damn
What's
YouTube.
that?
YouTube. And we're here with Matt Williams of the Secret Vault. The Secret Vault. Why did you call it the Secret Vault?
Because there are lots of secret vaults with secret information they don't want us to know. Probably a lot of the stuff we've been talking about on the show tonight is all explained away in a secret vault. You know, the Nazis probably had some of it. The Catholic Church probably had some of it. Ancient peoples that, you know, did weird things. They had answers that have all been kind of lost and hidden and, yeah, beaten the crap out of people so that, you know, they would rather forget rather than remember the truth.
And, you know,
But yeah, so there are secret vaults out there. And of course, you know, I like it. I like urbex exploration. I'm hoping one day I will enter somewhere and find something out that they really didn't want found out.
yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
I'll go singing like a canary.
some of the locations, I can't say it enough. It's just amazing. Really, really cool that you're able to get into.
Mm.
And like over there, there must be like literally like thousands of really intriguing places. And I mean, how, like, what's the trespassing sort of scenario over there now?
As long as you don't break in,
Yeah.
trespass is not criminal.
Okay,
It
so it's
used
not
to be
criminal.
it used to be criminal, but they
Yeah.
decriminalized it because you just had loads of landowners going like, this person is standing on my field, and then the police had to come and arrest you. You know, so it's like landowners were just being arseholes as they generally are in the UK, and they're kind of like, you know, don't be on my land. I own everything as far as the eye can see, and you cannot stand on any of it. You know, so it was like it was causing a headache for the police, so they decriminalized it. Now, what they say is, if you don't leave when asked, or if you create any sort of problem, or you've damaged something, then that becomes criminal. Otherwise, it's between you and the landowner. They can take you to court. Of course, they can't be asked to do that. They just want to ring up the police to get them to do their dirty work for them and arrest you. So they go, ha 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 ha. We're the landowners. We can get the police to arrest you anytime we want, and the police are getting fed up of it. So now it's not criminal. And yeah, provided you're not doing anything wrong, and you're asked to leave, and you say, "Yep, fine," that's cool. The police often get the wrong end of the stick. They can misinterpret your presence as being like you're a criminal. You're there to steal something. Maybe you have stole something. They can arrest you, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's painful process to be arrested, taken down the station, fingerprinted, and everything else. But then they have to let you go because you haven't actually done anything wrong. So that's the state of play with the UK.
And what have you just, you know, continuing on a little bit with it? Like, I mean, what differences have you noticed since when you first started the Secret Vault to now? Like, I mean, the transition. Like, I mean, some of the stuff that you must have started off with, and now it's like, have you seen some of it explained? Like, I mean, what noticeable differences have you
Well,
experienced?
back when I started doing ufology and I was looking into that side of
Yeah.
things, trespass was still then criminal.
Mhm.
So you could do it, but you had to be much more aware of getting out of there without being found. Whereas my philosophy is now, I'd rather not be found because I'd rather not have to speak to the police because there's always a risk that you might get arrested. But ultimately, I don't care anymore. It's actually just a weight lifted off your shoulders because nothing's going to happen because we haven't done anything wrong. It can be a pain in the ass the way they treat you, but ultimately it's a relief, you know, which is why I've kind of veered in this direction, because it's stuff I'd love to have done years ago, but would have had to have been a lot more careful about how I did it because I wouldn't want to encounter, you know, anyone.
I mean, why,
But
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was
Why do you
kind of
think
finished.
it? Why do you think what you're doing is so popular? Because I mean, you have a lot of subscribers. A lot of people watch the show. Watch when you upload a video. I mean, what is it? Is it the fact that because you're going into these abandoned locations for the most part, and you're just bringing people who don't have the chance to do that sitting in front of their computer screen or TV or whatever, watching whatever you upload and go, hey, look at that's neat. I wish I could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose, people like to watch us do what they either believe they can't do
Yeah.
or haven't got the time to do, and live in a different part of the world. So it's they couldn't do it in this place at that, particular moment. But I think people like the element of risk because it's a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you going to get caught? What's going to happen? And, we don't go into it to try and create scenarios where we're going to encounter the owners. I really do not want to encounter owners or the police.
Yeah.
Because for obvious reasons, because it's a pain in the arse.
Mm.
But when it does happen and it's unavoidable, you might as well film it because it's good content. So
exactly.
yeah, and people like seeing, people are they like to see as a human, I'm exactly the same. I like to see some sort of like a conflict situation and what happens at the end of it, because it's like, oh, what could happen here? And people get to they're also learning about, well, oh, I see how this works now. I see how the system works. I see what he can get away with and how he approaches it. And oh, maybe it's given me a lesson. Maybe I could do that. So it's empowering for people as well. So I think they want to see whether we're going to die or get in trouble, but also they find it quite empowering, that they could do it, as well if they wanted to. So
yeah, I mean, how long I think I asked you this, but I can't remember how long have you been doing
most of my
the
life,
channel?
really, I
Yeah.
think, so always been a bit of a wanderer and inquisitor,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it was a lot easier years ago when I was like a kid and I was climbing up things and going into buildings and climbing up scaffolding and finding my ways in to places and looking around, because you could get away and nobody would know who you were or what you were doing. So I've completely turned that on its head, because I never used to get any aggro at all. And by showing people like, this is what we're doing, of course you attract a lot of attention for that, because people say like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, and so you get the haters and you get the lovers. But ultimately, but in the middle of that conflict zone, you're getting interest, and I wish I'd done it years ago, but it would have been harder to do, because to publicize what you were doing back then, I would have had knock on the door, arrest, and criminal trespass. It would have been just bang, bang, bang. So back in the day, it used to have to be secret. If you do it, you're anonymous. You don't show your face, you don't show your name, you upload anonymously. And the thing is, there's a big legacy hangover with a lot of the forums who still go to this old ethos of like, don't tell anybody where the locations are, don't tell them how to get in, and keep yourself anonymous. And anyone who kind of tries to make a bit too much of a name for themselves is kicked out of these forums or pushed to one side. But don't show the ways in, and don't go through it all. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm past that now, because the whole world has changed. And I think these forums and a lot of people haven't caught up. The world isn't like that now. We can publicize what we're doing and just openly show it, and people complain that they can't get into these buildings because it's been closed down after we went there. It's like, well, it's been there for 20 years. You've had your chance. I've come along, I've shown it. Now it's been locked up. It's probably better, because at least it may not get burnt down, if it's locked up. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar when you investigate, have an investigation of a location of paranormal, whatever. Don't share the location, because you don't want people like,
That's just elitism, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, and like an
Like,
exterior location, maybe you don't want people like say an old pioneer cemetery. You don't want to share the location because you're afraid that you share it with the wrong person, they're going to go there and then desecrate the cemetery, sort of thing, what's left of it,
yeah.
or something like that. But yeah,
I don't believe that, better some locations, yeah, keep the name secret, don't necessarily always show everything, but where everybody knows
yeah,
these locations, because I mean,
yeah,
like, I'm learning about them and going there, like, so I got that information from somewhere, so I'm going there. if stuff is so well known that I'm learning about it going there, then I think it's probably matured to the point where it's going to probably go off anyway. It's kind of like, yeah, it's just, yeah.
Let's get in there before they demo it. Actually,
Do that too, yeah.
yeah, I got in.
Document it before it's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got into an old tuberculosis hospital.
Hmm.
I want to upload the video because, but the problem is, I shot this. I think it was in 2013, something like that. And the camera I was using wasn't the greatest, but it's just intriguing to go through these old places that, it's set up for demo. It's going to be demoed within a few weeks, a few months, whatever else. But to go through there and it's fascinating to see all that history. And here's this beautiful building just laying there dead.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, how do they let this get this way?
I think that a lot of the authorities, certainly in the UK, especially with institutions, asylums, care homes, adoption centers, and things
Yeah.
like this, where you got fostered children, and that sort of there's always going to be some level of abuse. Or today we would look back and say, well, it was a hospital, but like, look what they were doing back then. It was so barbaric.
Mm,
And governments and people in general, I think what they try to do is they try to hide the past. So
yeah.
this is a human nature thing. They try to hide it and just sweep it under the carpet. Demolish the building is another one, or convert it into houses or something like that, but like, make sure we get rid of all the evidence of what it was like. Don't let the cameras in to see what it was really like at the end, how bad it was right at the very end. That people don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And I've said to like a cinema owner in town, I said, I want to film this place before you demolish it. And then he said, yeah, okay. And then it was like, oh no, because there's this, but maybe people will see how shit it was. So they'll associate that sort of shit. And
Yeah.
they'll say, that's my shit.
Mm,
I want them to see it when it's new, so I can go, this is the new shit. And that's a
yeah.
human nature thing as well. So everybody wants to hide the old. They only
Mm,
want to show you the new. Forget the old. The old didn't exist. That's gone. Yeah. But to me, it's not gone because it's part of history. And we have to try and forcibly
mhm.
capture what they don't want us to see.
Absolutely.
Because that does have to be documented. And even if it's ugly and it's got warts on, that's too bad. It's that's the way it is. I mean, we can't just keep glossing over history and pretending like things didn't happen.
I mean, over here, a lot of the urbex stuff is old farmhouses. And you watch some of these guys going into these old farmhouses or these old houses, whatever, and just documenting how it was left. And you sit there and go, the story's unfolding right before your eyes. The items that were left behind, and the dates on the magazine, the guy picks up, says, oh, 1978, wow, like, I remember that. And the items that and the architect, and oh, wow, this place is amazing. If somebody had money, pump it into this place, you'd have a beautiful farmhouse. But unfortunately that just doesn't happen.
I mean, sometimes I'm sure people look at these buildings and think, "Oh, I'll buy that," because I could do something with that. But
Yeah.
a lot of these places don't get advertised, and
No.
people don't know they're there.
Yeah.
And the people who own them as well, they forget about them, but they get embarrassed by seeing us in their location, and then they go, "Oh, let's do something about that." I mean, there's some people who've got so many buildings as portfolios, like hundreds of buildings, that they are in charge of, and
Mhm.
they're only interested in doing up the top 5 out of 100 buildings because that's where they're going to focus their attention and money. But because we go like, well, hang on a minute, look at these other 95 buildings that are lying in waste, and they go, oh shit, they can see that we're actually doing nothing. We're doing nothing. So then they do something.
Mhm.
They actually do get round to doing something. So I think we stimulate, possibly through embarrassment, And because, people are very controlling, like, stay off my
Yeah.
land, it's mine, it's mine. And if you show how crap it is, then they go, oh, no, I'll make that good then. I'll make that good. Look how good it is now. It's kind of, it kind of shames or embarrasses or stimulates people into doing something with these buildings that they just forget about. They're forgetting about them for 20 odd years. They're like, just 20 years. They could have been renting that building out. They could have had people in there, businesses in there, making money. No, they've forgotten about it. They literally forget about it until we go, what's this year? And they go, oh, oh yeah, we got that building. Quick. Board it up. Right, we're developing that now. We're developing it. And it's like, it's amazing how you see these places have been left for such a long time. Once we go and publicize it on YouTube, it's boarded up within a day. Boom. Somehow it seems like the videos we do, like somebody like, oh, look at this video on YouTube. It's one of your buildings. It's like, oh, get round there, do something. It's been 20 years, no boards on the building.
Yeah.
Within a day of our videos, like somebody, bzz, bzz, bzz,
Yeah.
it's like they all these. It's a disease in society to kind of ignore all of this real estate that people are on.
Sad too, because I mean, like, some of these buildings are just absolutely beautiful and just it's too bad. But I mean, another positive, well, I mean, for the most part, is over the years you've developed friendships with other urbexers, and I notice you go out quite often with others. What do you notice about when you go out with others? The technique and whatever else, however they do it. I mean, what do you notice about that?
Well, I think it's nice. It's refreshing because
Yeah.
I used to go out with just a small number of people, and I've kind of widened it a bit now. So if there's nobody's around, I'll ring a large circle of people and kind of see who's available, and you'll generally find one, and then you end up going up with that group and this group and that group, and I think that's good because it keeps it fresh. Going out with just a very small nucleus of friends can actually end up leading to tensions because they're not able to come out, or when they're going out you can't come out, and because you're only just having a very narrow channel of communication with a couple of people. I think the best way I've found now is to just say, look, if you can't come out, I'm going out with somebody else. And I suggest that if I'm not available, you go out with somebody else. And that's what we do. And we don't get bitchy over the fact that, like, oh, you went with somebody and you didn't invite us, or vice versa. Those sorts of conversations, which can happen, don't happen, because the rule is, if you're not available, I'm doing something else. And if I'm not available, you're doing something else. No worries. So it's like we circulate it around a large group of friends, and then you're never actually too much in other people's faces, and too much, kind of that breeds issues. I think it's best to keep things very wide and open, and then, that's a good thing. Keeps it fresh, and you're seeing people you haven't seen for a while, and it's like it's all nice. You're going out with the same people again and again and again. It's like, expectations come
Yeah.
on board, like, and then that can cause problems.
Would
I was
you?
very tempted to bring you back a little bit to the conversation we were having earlier on,
Oh,
there.
well, definitely. I just wanted to
Yeah.
touch base with this a bit,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
fun stuff. But yeah, the quantum thing.
yeah.
I just wanted your views on this then. How does this make your mind boggle? You've probably heard about this, but a lot of people may not have heard this. So I'll just run this by everyone. There's this quantum principle that if you observe an experiment, you change its result.
Mm,
Okay, so in quantum physics, you can either have a wave or you can have a particle.
okay.
So you have states of and you can look at this, you can observe them, but when you observe it, you change it. So by being an observer, i.e., with your eyes or doing an experiment, observe the result. It changes. You alter it. So it flips states. So hang on a minute. Let's just imagine now. In a box on the other side of the room
Hmm.
is a ball. But if I go to observe the ball, it changes into a cat.
Wow.
I'm just putting this as kind of like an example. So let's say in quantum physics,
Hmm.
in that box is a wave.
Yeah.
But if I go over and open the box, it becomes a particle, a point. But if I didn't know that it was a point, it would still be a wave. Now,
Interesting.
how can I, observing with my eyes, affect the result? That is a fact of quantum physics,
Hmm.
from what I understand.
And
The observer changes the result. So hang on a minute. Does that mean that my brain is somehow through the quantum realm going
the
out?
energy
It changes the state. This is known about. This is not like Fantasy Island, like Dr. Zhivago bloody territory,
Yeah.
right? The observer changes the result. So how can a human thinking about what it's wanting to find change the result? Now
Is it possible that maybe that we're only able to see the one state?
but if it was in the one state,
Yeah.
you went to look at it, it would flip back to the other one.
No, I know that, but how do you measure the other state
Sorry.
when you're not looking at it?
This is what do they call it? I think it's Schrodinger's cat or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a cat in a box and you can't open the box, how do you know the cat's alive or dead?
Yeah, you can think of
But
it
when
as
you
both.
open the box, it's dead. But what if when you didn't open the box, it was alive? And the act of opening the box killed it. How do you know whether or not it was alive before you opened the box?
Right.
You don't know. And this
No.
is a kind of like a dilemma, a philosophical dilemma. However, it's gone beyond philosophy because it actually has truth in the quantum realm. You do not know what the state is, but they hypothesize, they've theorized the state is different. But when you observe it, the act of observing it changes the state. So observing it changes the state. So how come it's in a different state before you experiment, before you look? Before you look, it's in a different state. When you look, changes state. That almost implies that something between human understanding is projecting itself out there and changing the state.
Yeah. Or okay, so let's say you're looking at it, it changes state. When you look away, does it change back or does it stay in the same state you looked at it?
I believe it changes back.
So this is what I was saying.
Mm.
And it's just a crap theory, just throwing it out there. But maybe our brains are not capable of seeing that other state. It can be measured, but we're only able to see one of the two states. Maybe it's in both states at the same time, but we're only perceiving the one.
Yeah.
And it's being measured as a particle, just for the sake of the argument, with instruments. But when we physically see it, we're only able to see the one state. Just a theory, obviously, just throwing it out there. Could be completely wrong, but
Well, that could
it's just
explain
scary.
that could explain why so many phenomenons are unexplained, because we're only seeing the one state.
Okay, there's another principle then in quantum physics, which is a bit of a head whoop 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 whoop. It's this quantum computing.
Yeah.
Quantum computing is not digital, so it doesn't have to work out a load of bits and then add them up bit by bit by bit by bit and bit by bit by bit to come to an answer.
Mm-hmm.
A quantum computer, you supply it with the question or the potentials, and it automatically selects the answer. It's automatic. It knows the answer. It doesn't have to go, well, what is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus times plus 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 plus? You go, what's this times this? You don't have to tell it what it is. It knows the answer. The quantum computer simply zones in on the answer. So therefore, it doesn't have to go through all the computation. It simply knows the answer. Now, here's the funny bit. they believe that the answer has been decided before you place the question. So before you press go, it's already got the answer immediately. So therefore, it's like it knew what you were going to ask because there's no time involved, or it's working outside of time. So therefore, how can it have the answer instantaneously? How can it have that answer instantaneously?
Yeah.
It's like it knew the answer before
Just
you
gonna
asked
say
the
that.
question. And quantum computers are not up to speed enough to be showing this, but the theoretics behind the physics says that this is true. That quantum states know what you're thinking, and they know the question, and they already have the answer before you've even put the question in. Before you've started the process, the answer is immediate.
That is scary.
Mm.
That
So
is scary. Yeah. The
some people would say, well, that means everything in the universe has obviously been, it's all we're all
it's
locked
been mapped
in.
out already.
We can't change the future. No, I don't
Yeah.
think it means that. It just means that there are things we don't understand. Maybe the computer is somehow going back in time, seeing something a couple of seconds before you put the answer in and coming back out immediately. We don't
Yeah.
know. Nobody knows, but the physics says it's instantaneous. It knows the answer. And this is why it can be used for incredibly fast calculations. We're not on that level yet, but they reckon that instead of being able to crack a massive code like an encryption code, all you do is you tell it, well, this is how encryption works, and here's the code. And it goes bang, immediate. They reckon it'll be immediate answer to crack the code. It doesn't have to think about it and work it all out and change the numbers and compare this to that and compare this to this and read it. You just give it, if you could give it the whole question in one go, you'd instantaneously have the answer. What's all that about?
Exactly.
What exactly is all that about? Because I mean, this is what the scientists are saying, which is where we think we're going with this, but
Yeah.
we don't understand why. We hope we can understand why, but that to me is like that's magic. That's magic. That is like, you're seeing it in a form, but you're trying to rationalize it. That to me, that's magic.
Yeah.
Like that's next
It's the
level
new
shit.
alchemy. It's what alchemy is now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy. That's insane. Um and well, I mean, are we talking about, map this sort of mapping, if you will? Is numeric? Is it a bunch of numbers that equal these answers? Quantum
they
physics?
say that I think the quantum state is the way they
Yeah.
get answers is not in like a digital form.
No.
It's literally like a value. So if you
So
wanted,
numeric.
it would be a potential between like
Yeah.
1 and 100. So they would say, well, what do you want to do? You want to add this to this, and the answer would be between 1 and 100, and they would have to then convert that into what the answer you want, because they'd have to like multiply it by the scale. But you would say like, I want this to this, and it would instantly give you the answer, but then you have to scale it to what you're actually looking for, because it will be obviously in a potential, like a voltage potential or some sort of potential that they're reading, but it doesn't read out like digits. Well, that's how they're trying to use quantum computers, because they're actually trying to use quantum computers to act like digital computers. So they're actually making lots of quantum computers
Yeah.
to turn off and on like zeros and ones to get the answer. But ultimately what they believe is that they can just literally put the potentials of the question in and it will automatically generate the answer instantaneously, but they haven't quite got to that yet. But that is the theory.
So,
It's the quantum knows the question you're asking and will give it to you before you've asked the question. Yeah.
you sit there and go, can the can the human brain like what's the word I'm looking for? Can the human brain process this all without it melting down? I mean, it just seems so much like the activity that quantum physics brings to the table. It just seems so massive and so endless that it just, again, it's like trying to understand the human mind, trying to understand the size of the universe, if you will.
Mm, mm.
There's no way of understanding how, theory wise, sure, okay, fine, but uh, the theory's way off. We know that. I mean, the universe is just like, is it ever expanding? Sure, I'm sure it is, right? Is it going to slow down? We don't know. I mean, you hear that kind of those theories all the time, that, oh yeah, the universe is it's aging. Of course it's aging. The universe is slowing down. How do you know that? You know? I mean, the
Well, I
div-
think they say it's accelerating. The
accelerating, yeah.
universe is actually expanding faster. But I mean, you think, well, is there a limit to that? Is it going to run out of material? Is whatever we are going to become expanded and then stretched? And what will happen to atoms and things, that are kind of like held together by what we think is, holding stuff together at the moment. But I mean, we've got dark matter, for example. They say like,
Yeah,
99% of everything that's out there is just empty space.
yeah,
But it's not, because there's dark matter and they don't understand what it is. So
no,
maybe dark matter is actually swimming through everything
yeah,
right now, and that's what makes up all this quantum mechanism. Maybe that matter acts like an intelligent computer. Maybe this is why quantum stuff works, because what we don't realize is we're dealing with atoms, which is like, I suppose, the equivalent of trying to make a painting by throwing paintballs at a canvas. That's what we're dealing with. That's atoms. And what quantum physics is like the atoms on the canvas. Like we're throwing big paintballs, which are atoms on our level, but maybe the substance of the universe is like atoms on like the canvas at the level we know atoms at now, not paintball size. So maybe all this dark matter is there all around us, and we have no idea what it is. We have no idea what it works. And obviously there are these mechanisms, like if you can take something, move it to one side of the universe and spin one and the other one spins, then there's something going into subspace, into this dark matter and popping out, and everything's connected, which is an interesting concept. It's like everything's connected. You can kind of like make something happen here in the universe, and bang, on the other side of the universe something else is happening which mirrors it.
yeah,
um which is like, is everything connected? Are
exactly.
we all connected? Which I think physics is going to come round and become slightly open its mind to spirituality at one day, and kind of like realize that there was more to what people in the past were kind of feeling and
Well,
expressing,
that's
and
the thing, yeah.
it's going to become part of physics at the end of the day. Maybe
Well,
they'll kind of be using quantum computers to talk to ghosts more successfully than mediums.
I think our way of thinking is so archaic in terms of, well, our, again, these are the filters that we've been instilled with for since birth, like I said. But I mean, thinking outside the box, and thinking, well, look at, there is something beyond our human senses. Come on, I mean, it's evident, and that it's only a matter of time that we're going to be able to patch into it or understand it, or some people
Like
already have.
they don't even know what gravity is. There
Yeah,
are various theories, but I mean, like, wouldn't gravity be something from this quantum realm? Some sort of
could be.
substance and an attraction that we haven't even detected yet. We don't even know where it is. We don't know what to look for. We don't know how to, we're only scratching the surface with particle accelerators and God particles and all this sort of stuff. It's kind of like, you know, maybe the God particle is massive compared to the subspace that actually
Yeah,
other stuff that's even smaller than that makes up the universe. Maybe the God particle is enough to like blow the whole universe sideways and create matter as we know it. is just, nothing compared to the underlying, stuff that's underneath that.
If you're well, I can't remember. Were they able to discover the God particle? No, or
Yeah, they found
understand?
the Higgs boson. They
Yeah,
believe they found the Higgs boson, but it's like it's a Pandora's box, isn't it?
yeah.
Well, we found the Higgs boson.
Then what?
So what's that made out of?
Exactly. Yeah.
Boom. So we need a bigger particle accelerator to find what makes the Higgs boson. And it's like, but they're scratching the surface again. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, it's like an ant trying to understand what a human's doing. This is us looking down into this like universe. We are literally just going, whoa, what's all this crazy stuff? We don't know what it is. Let's try and blow it up. Yeah. Wow. Still don't know what it is. Yeah, let's try and blow that up. Let's try and blow it up smaller. Try and blow it up bigger. And it's all about blowing shit up to find out what's there. But it's like, maybe like I say, the Robin is navigating via quantum fields. They say this is not like a theory. This is a fact now. Whereas the magnetic stuff it was a theory. The quantum stuff, they say, is a fact. That's what they said on this BBC TV program, but who can believe the BBC? But, they're like so certain about it now, so certain, then, well, okay, if a robin can do it, a little bird, then probably a worm is doing that. Probably a bacteria is doing that. Probably your DNA is connected to quantum fields and communicate. Maybe your DNA is communicating, in ways we don't even understand because we can't sense it.
That's incredible.
We can't observe it, But if it's in genetics and it's grown out of evolution so that animals are able to use it as a navigation mechanism, then it's a communication mechanism. It's something that maybe the universe is screaming out to us. Maybe that's what God is. Maybe God sends the word out through the quantum into the genetics and into the animal world and creates life, through this thing. And if we only had the ears to hear it, it's been screaming out since the start, and it goes across all planets and galaxies and dimensions, and that's where life comes from. Because the message is there. We're not listening. We haven't got the right set of ears to hear it.
Well, that's the thing where I think we're prisoners in our own minds, really. I mean,
but genetics knows it. Our bodies know it. Our chemistry knows it. Animals know it.
Mm-hmm.
But our higher brain doesn't, because we're all just like fighting and looking for food,
Well, yeah, we're what we know, what most people know is tangibility, physical world. It's like, this is beyond the physical world.
Yeah. By the way, that's snuff. If anybody's wondered what I'm sticking up my nose, it's snuff.
Snuff.
It's just nicotine. So like this shit. Yeah.
Biblically speaking, God is talking to us. Oh yeah, more or less.
Where's that guy now?
Yeah, he hasn't shown up in a while.
I just feel that there might be this like permeating energy behind everything in the universe it aligns everything into order. Like it aligns the atoms into a certain order. It aligns the electrons, and everything aligns, and then the subatomic particles and the quantum particles, it all aligns for a reason. And it's because something is there. It's like a ground carpet something.
Yeah.
And that is probably going to express itself all over the universe in very similar ways. It's going to happen. Life is going to appear in as many places as it possibly can, because everything's underpinned by this. I don't think, they all talk about the Drake equation, where they say, so many planets have got atmospheres, so therefore, if they've got an atmosphere and they've got a sun, they're going to develop like us. I don't think it matters. I think that no matter what you have, whatever building blocks or stuff you have available in the universe, if you've got an underpinning, something which is magnetizing it, so to speak, magnetizing people and things to want to form into a certain way, then maybe this manifests in all sorts of different ways all over the universe. But intelligent life is probably created by that mechanism. And it's something that I think eventually we will come back around from being scientific to becoming, more in line with religions, and I believe that religions are going to have a resurgence. We're going to kind of learn that we have been in contact and communication all along with whatever started this off, and I think that would make a very colorful future.
I kind of think that is what religion is about, obviously.
The
That
cosmic goop.
well, no, the communication with the higher being, if you will. I mean,
Yep.
I do believe that there was something there. It just, of course, when organized religions took over and sort of, commercialized religion, if you will, and sort of, muttered it all up. But I mean, I really do believe, we did have some sort of, I mean, Matt, what are you? Are you a creationist? Do you believe in evolution? Like, what are your thoughts?
I totally believe in evolution,
Yeah,
but with an underpinning of the fact that life is not just an accidental, random event.
yeah,
There is so much symbiosis between creatures, and I'm a big believer in the morphogenic field 100th monkey syndrome
yeah,
stuff, whereby morphogenic field is a name that's been given by one scientist who says, well, life on Earth is more than chance. His name is Rupert Sheldrake.
yeah,
And I mean, some of the experiments he's done. I mean, he's been shunned and pushed to the side by mainstream science. I mean, he even had his TED talk was banned. He's one of the only two people who've ever had a banned TED talk. And reason why? He did a TED talk on all the hypocrisies and problems with science. All the things they tell you are absolutely real, but aren't real.
yeah,
Like this is a constant. Like the speed of light is a constant. It's not. It's not actually. And there are lots of other things that they tell you that are not as constant as, and set in stone and can only be this way. There's a lot of debate and question in scientific circles, but it's always very hush hush because it's like, we know that, and we know that these things don't add up, and we suspect it might be this, but you don't say that because this is the party line. So that's what science gives out, is the party line, and Rupert Sheldrake just, laid it bare. He just went, okay, and let's just talk about, 10 things that don't add up. So if anybody wants to blow their mind, watch the Rupert Sheldrake banned TED talk. Okay, it's very interesting. And he just goes through a number of little things that science tells you that are absolutes, that scientists know are bollocks, and that they're not absolutes at all. Everything's in flux. Everything is open to change in science, and nobody's really got the final answers. And as we move more towards this quantum stuff, I think now it's throwing, a lot of it out of the window because anything's possible.
yeah,
But I think it keeps me hopeful. I mean, because whereas years ago I was very anti-religion, and then I had a UFO sighting, and it kind of like made my mind open to the possibility that other people had these sightings and were having weird experiences, and I wasn't so arrogant then to say, oh yeah, all these people are probably just making it up, or just they're misidentifying stuff. I kind of empathized a lot more with people and their experiences, and said, like, I'll give that some time. I'll give them some time. I'll take it on board. I'll listen to what they have to say, and weigh it all up, and just kind of bear it in mind. It doesn't mean I have to form any like hard opinions. It just means all this is in flux. I'll bear it in mind.
yeah,
But the one thing I noticed from education and growing up, was kind of a lot of science is trying to kind of like destroy religion, because it's all about
yeah,
natural selection and
yeah,
Charles Darwin, and everything was an accident, like chemistry, biology, all these things were accidents from a goop of, materials.
I am
which then,
spermia.
yeah, acted on by electric, by storms and lightning, to
Mm,
create life.
yeah,
But I don't think that you would necessarily get life from a bunch of random events just like knocking against each other. Like, why would Why would two chemical particles want to then like create arms and go off to feed? It's like it just seems silly to me to think that there's not something bigger going on behind that there's kind of something bigger
Yeah,
generating things to want to do things, because it's a will. It's not just a random event. It's like there's will, to want
exactly.
to feed and create and get bigger and more complicated. It's like random. I don't think so. I think that all of this has a numbing effect on the soul. I think all of this scientific kind of knowledge and understanding, well, as great as it is, because I mean I'm using it now, and I smartphones, everything, I'm a big user of every piece of technology under the sun. Great. But like at its fundamental core, science wants to get rid of wishful beliefs and wishful thinking in religions and all that, because it wants you to believe in science, which is that it was all random, and when you die, you're gone.
Yeah.
And I just say, look at quantum stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have their asses handed to them somehow with
But
that.
we may put
Yeah.
these funeral homes out of business. Um. Well, oh God, we're coming up to 11, but I'm good to go for a little bit longer. I don't know. How about you, Matt?
Oh, I'll happily stay on, but you obviously have to do a thing with your radio, don't you?
Well,
So
yeah, shut it down at 11, but and Alex
so
needs a
they'll have
refill
to
there.
come and watch us.
Alex
They'll have to
needs a
come and
refill.
watch us online.
Come on and watch us online. Yeah, exactly. Watch us on YouTube, and maybe we'll open up things. And if somebody wants to join us too, because I mean, this is fascinating. This is really fascinating, and I know a lot of people in chat are enjoying it. I think you've woken up quite a lot of people there, Matt. They seem to think that this is Matt at his best.
Well, I'm excited by it, because this is it. It gives me hope, like I have hope in a life after death, because I've had like so many conversations with spirits and things happen, and like the poltergeist stuff and all this stuff. It just tells me there's so much more that we don't know. And even if it is turns out to be me or something else or whatever it is, there's something else. There's something more. And the only thing that I think is terribly sad when I meet people and they may be like I was, and I think society requires people to be closed-minded and pragmatic and scientific, and shut themselves down to all this sort of stuff and mock and scoff, and it's kind of like it's soul destroying. And through some of the things I've experienced over the years, not that I have any answers, I have more questions than answers. What it's taught me to know is that I don't know, and they don't know.
Yeah.
So therefore, maybe there is more. I'd like to think there is more, and therefore that gives me hope. And, I'm not worried about the future. I'm not worried about dying. I might be worried about the moment of dying, but I'm not
Yeah.
worried about the concept, looking forward, because I know the universe is so much more interesting and complicated than just, you live, you die.
Absolutely. I agree.
Nature tells us there's more going on in nature that tells us that things are interconnected. We're all connected. Maybe the universe is connected. Everything is connected. And I just don't believe that you come here for this short amount of time and then you're gone.
And it is a short amount of time
Yeah.
comparison to, if, but then again, you come back, you're reincarnated as a tree. Ah, shit, I can't move. This sucks. But
Maybe
yeah,
maybe you're happy because you don't have arthritis when you're a tree.
yeah, that too, right? That too. I'm good. I love it, man. I've seen
Do
it
tree
all.
do trees get dementia? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have to put a tree in a care home? No.
Uh, Well, I mean, hey, well, speaking of something else, I mean, we could sort of go on a little bit too. You know, people who are, deemed crazy, are they really crazy? Are they actually, like, for instance, somebody who has multiple personalities, or somebody who
Mm.
has who sees and talks to people that aren't apparently there? Are they really in tune or in contact with something or somebody?
Mm.
You
Well, they used
know,
to call them lunatics, didn't they?
lunatics. Yeah,
Yeah, and the reason they call them lunatics is because luna is the moon,
yeah,
ticks is in like having
yeah.
ticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel a lunatic when the moon was up, it was worse. They used to believe this, and maybe there is some truth in some of the stuff, you know. I mean, like women's periods apparently are linked to
To the
cycles of the
lunar
moon.
cycle. Yeah,
So how come this thing that's out there is just a rock is affecting people on Earth? Is it quantum? Is that, are they picking up a
yeah,
signal from it? Is it just the light from it? Because if you're in your house, surely you're not going to be affected by the light from it.
yeah.
So what is it that's permeating the walls and getting into you that affects you on these natural cyclic levels? I mean, the Earth has a resonant frequency. Maybe the moon is transmitting a resonant frequency, and maybe we're picking things up that we didn't even want to acknowledge. And the birds and the bees, they've all been doing it, by these special signals that are coming from the universe, coming from planets, coming from the stars that we don't even yet know about. And yet
Exactly.
it affects us as well because we know that menstrual cycles are affected, they're linked to the moon. In fact, I think they even used to, the calendars used to be based on moon cycles. I believe they used to think in third, was it 13 months of the year?
13.
It was like
Yes. Up. Yeah.
13,
This
it
is
used to be
Zodiac actually
13
has 13. And yeah.
because that works better with the
Hmm.
natural cycle of things because it's actually, the way the universe and the world works. Some of these things have been created by people for reasons. It's not just mysticism or tarot cards, and it's like there are things that are linked that we've kind of gone away from, and we go, no, we're going to stick to this system now because we don't want to acknowledge that one because that would imply that somebody in the past might have known something, and they
uh,
can't know anything in the past because they were all stupid. They didn't know anything. Yeah,
exactly.
maybe they did.
I'm just gonna, we'll end this on New Visions Radio. Of course, join us here on the YouTube channel. We're gonna go into extra bonus here with Matt, and yeah, so join us here at YouTube, on YouTube or Twitch, at Nocturnal Frequency Radio. For those of you listening on the New Visions Radio Network, thank you for tuning in, and of course, thanks Matt for providing a couple hours of very, very informative information. Wow, does that make sense? Talking about
Yeah.
conundrum. Anyways, take care, everyone, and once again, join us over here on our YouTube channel. Until next Sunday night, take care.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. You all come back now.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. We're
Night, Jim Bob.
officially we're officially in bonus. So YouTube and Twitch only.
After time. I
Um,
need to go and
go
get
ahead.
some more beer because
Yeah,
that's what I'm
go for it.
on these live streams. I'm fueled
Yep.
by beer because it calms one's nerves of doing radio shows and shit.
Matt,
So
I'm gonna take off, so I'll talk to you some other time.
what bit are you going to take off?
No, I gotta go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow.
Oh.
He's got to go to bed. He's got to work tomorrow.
You're going to take your top off.
My top.
Well, he's not wearing. He's not wearing any pants. He's not wearing any pants. He's naked from the waist down, folks.
All
right. Good night, everyone.
Take care, Alex.
All right.
Bye bye.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take a break here, and Matt's going to get
Very short one.
his beer. I'm going to take a washroom break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Woo!
Woohoo! All right.
Yeah. Caught me scratching me bald head.
Yeah, that's why does it
He
always
knows all
happen to
about.
the one? Yeah, why does everyone
You know, you bald bastard, you.
what is it with
Look
us
at you.
baldies? These
You look at you,
baldies.
bald, bloody no hair. What the hell you like?
Cheers, by the way, Matt. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, big ears. Or are those just headphones? Or are you just pleased to see me? Yay.
Yeah.
I have an invisible dog here. She's like Randall and Hopkirk deceased. She is here. You can't see her because of my special magic blue screen.
Melissa's loving the
come in to say hello.
Melissa's loving the music. Yeah, it's 80s retro. Yeah, some pretty techno retro whatever. Yeah, I love it too. It's awesome.
You had a startup music. I think it was when you were doing the green thing. Was it the no? No, it was the countdown, like 4 minutes music.
Yeah,
and it was like a sort of
yeah. That's
and I thought, not that I ever watch this stuff, but it just like I thought that fitted in a porno. That would is like a sort of like
like an 80s
sort
porno.
of like a.
we should have got something up.
Anyone who tuned in who thought this was getting very philosophical earlier on and has now come back and we're like going porno music, boof, boof, boof.
Like,
yeah,
don't
right.
end
They're
this,
like,
man.
is this the same guy? Is this the same
Yeah.
guy? Like, yeah, no, it is. I have a sense of humor. It gets the better of me sometimes.
Don't end this. We're having such a great conversation that they loved it, man. They didn't want us to end this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put the link there.
Sorry.
I put the link out there, so if anybody wants to join us, by all means.
My dog is gutted because I've come in with cans of beer and she thinks I've got food and no, I haven't. So you can see she's like the frustration in her eyes. You know, you can see it. She's just like
synthwave. Yes, exactly, Adam.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, it's when you look at the makeup of beer, it's like food. It is food.
I offered her some and she said no.
No.
I do this. She goes like, I want something. I go, well, have some beer then. And she's like, she looks away. Oh, she's looking at it. No, she looked away. She sort of looked at it, licked her lips, and then looked away. She's like, because she knows that she's not supposed to steal things, so she acts all coy, like, oh no, I couldn't have any of that. No. You know, but if you put it down on the floor, she'll try it, you know, and not necessarily beer, but she's like, no, I can't eat your food. No. But if you hand it to me off the plate, I'll have it. But not if you, I couldn't take it off your plate. I would, you'll be very angry with me. So yeah, that's right.
Matt wants you to show us, sir.
Show us her.
Yeah.
There she is.
There she is.
Oops, a daisy. There she is. Invisible dog.
The invisible dog.
Showing you a different dimension.
What's her name, Matt?
Angel.
Angel.
You're a good girl, you. We ain't got nothing for you, I'm afraid. You've had everything. You've had all the stuff. You've had loads tonight, actually, as usual. Do Always has loads.
How old's she, Matt?
11.
Oh wow.
11 angels. Yes. Oh, you give kisses? She's like, no. You give kisses? Go on, give us a kiss. Proper kiss. Give us a proper kiss. Proper. Go on. Go on. Go on. Look at her. She's like, no. She's a very defiant dog. If I had a treat, she would do it straight away. Come on, Em.
Yeah.
Give us a kiss. Oh, there you go. There's a good girl. Yeah. But if I had food in my hand, she'd be like, I'll give you a kiss like that. So not stupid. You know, she definitely knows what's going on. She's like, no, I'm not gonna give you a kiss. By the way, I mean just like not a proper kiss, just like she licks my nose, she does. So yeah.
She licks your nose.
She licks my nose because then like a parent dog, I will regurgitate food for her and she will eat it. That's why they want to lick your nose, because they want you to regurgitate food. Like all good creatures out there, birds and all sorts of just like, Mummy, I need some food. Yeah. The worst one is the koalas, because they're so cute, but you do not want to know how koalas feed their young. You don't look it up. You won't be happy.
So what is she? Pure husky or
Malamute?
Oh, Malamute. Okay, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Malamute.
Yeah. I saw some koalas in Longleat. We were there for this Festival of Light thing where they put lots of light displays on, and they had loads of these koalas, and they were really cute, and they were in this like trees. And I'm not really I don't agree with zoos, but you know, they were all really cute. But I just couldn't help thinking, like, you dirty bastards, you dirty bastards, you know. Yeah, because once you learn things, you can't unlearn them, and it's just like, wow, yeah. I love amazing animal world facts as well, like is it wombats? Biggest rodents? They call wombats, I think they are.
Yeah,
and they
wombats,
produce square poo, properly square, like a Rubik's cube, square poo. Scientists say they don't understand how they're doing it. It's like, well, maybe they've got a square gut or a square arsehole. Have you thought of that? See, I need to be a scientist, because look, I've just provided a very good theory. Maybe somewhere some part of them inside is square.
Will preparation H help with the corners?
Yeah.
Oh man, square.
Maybe they learned to shit square so it stacks better.
There's your evolution at work, right?
Yeah. There's a reason for it, I'm sure.
That's crazy, man. And I mean, you know, talking about that, you know, I mean, I've heard within X amount of years we're going to lose our baby toe because there's no real use for it.
Well, we probably, given enough time, we'll probably lose all the toes in that case, isn't it? Because if you're working your way down, maybe we're going to become flippers, and maybe we'll get back in the sea like the dolphins and just say, why are we buggering about on land when there's all these free fish around? Why are we bothering with all this like arguments and crap that, you know, higher brain thinking, when we can just like eat and shag all day like dolphins?
So, well, let me ask you, do you think we came from the sea?
If at some point, because I think most life came out of the sea and then went on to land, and some of it said, this is hard work, I'm going back in the sea. Sod that.
Yeah.
Like the dolphins and the whales, they were all land creatures. They all had hands and legs, and they wandered around, and they just went, screw this,
I'm going back.
Yeah.
It's
and one day,
not as luxurious as I thought it was.
One day, when the aliens come down to destroy the planet, they will all the dolphins will fly into space, and they'll go, so long and thanks for all the fish, as they said in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So long and thanks for all the fish.
Such a classic show, man. I love that series. I got to revisit it. It's been such a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah.
Classic.
There's so many interesting concepts, and taking the piss out of, various ideas of philosophy and, where we're at. But yeah, I mean, you got to laugh at it all, really. I mean,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, when we sit there, you look at shows and so on, and that sort of deal with life and trying to I guess explain it and how different it is, how different it was as opposed to now, and explaining life. It's just because we know a little bit more. But I mean, that's no new socks. What's no new socks? I'll just read in chat. The stretchiest the blanket for your toes. Try
And somebody,
stretchiest the blanket for the toe. Oh, okay.
Smith said it'll be the octopus that like flies off into space and is
Yeah,
really intelligent.
a lot of
Yeah.
people seem to think that the octopus is extraterrestrial.
Spiders as well, I think.
Yeah.
Spiders have something weird about them. Yeah, they kind of like an evolutionary oddity to them or something. And people said like, oh, maybe they came from space, maybe because I mean, asteroids and meteorites could have brought bacteria from other planets, which would have accelerated certain types of evolution that maybe didn't originate on Earth. And
Uh,
you've got tardigrades, which can handle the radiation of space and can go into
yeah.
stasis and can fly across space, and they are space creatures, basically, you know.
Panspermia.
I
Panspermia.
wish, I wish, yeah,
Where organisms travel here from
yeah,
an asteroid or whatever else and spark something. I mean, I believe it was the Greeks that believed that theory or devised it. And I don't know, did they actually, I think that science, well, not that science is ever right, to be honest. But they just discounted that, saying that there's no truth behind that. I kind of do. I believe that there might be.
I think we're talking about life coming from space.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
organisms that traveled on an asteroid or whatever, they hits the earth and sparks some sort of transition, if you will, or
yeah.
spark
I mean,
some evolution.
there's the missing link, humans, the missing link, and why we've had an accelerated sort of growth in something that we haven't really found. I mean, I know there's some scientists say like, oh, we have found the missing link, it is there, but we just don't have many examples of it. But yeah, we seem to have just like shot off at high speed in a direction which involved intelligence and the brain. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, like people say, well, what happened to sort of, Cro-Magnon man, like what happened to the Neanderthals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, I think we still have them. If they're interbreeding with us, we still have some on this planet. I don't think they've gone. I mean, I think, we still have, some very big variations in races and the gene pool. Yes, we're compatible, but I mean, like, you have a look at the difference in races. We all have different characteristics. Now, this is something the woke brigade do not like,
Yeah.
and they can often turn around and say, "Oh, that's racism." When you say, "Well, one race versus another race have different characteristics."
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's a fact,
Hmm.
right? Now, it's not just a black versus yellow skin versus. These different cultures have very different characteristics. Okay, like a lot of people don't realize Asian people don't have sweat glands, so they don't sweat like we do. We sweat, and it has a smell. That's a musky smell.
Hmm.
Asians don't have it. So guess what? Procter and Gamble and all these companies would love to sell deodorants in Asia, but they don't need them because they don't smell.
No. But
They don't smell.
I mean, a lot of that has to do with the evolution of
Yeah.
the environment that these people have been living in, though, right?
Yes, but I mean, those characteristics are very different. There's a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, the brains are going to be different.
Mhm.
The physiology is different.
Yeah.
The way people approach life and think about things is different. But like, according to wokeism and, this kind of like everyone's the same, men are like women, all races are the same. That's not true. Okay. I mean, like, different races have certain characteristics which make them better at some things
Yeah.
and worse at others. And that flips around. So, like, you have a different culture will be, better at the thing that that other culture was worse at and worse at something, and it's like there's ups and downs, it's
Yeah.
like so we've all got our pluses and minuses, what we're good at, what we're not good at. And that's the overall balance. But to ignore that and pretend like it doesn't exist, like as if it's an inconvenient truth,
Mhm.
and suppress that,
Yeah.
is nonsense. Because there is a lot to be said about the positives of what other cultures have, what they're good at, and what they excel in, because their bodies, their brains are wired that way. But we're not allowed to talk about that because that's taboo. You can't say,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the negatives of, oh, well, they can't do this or they can't do that. But what I say is like, no, they're good at this and they're good at this and we're good at this. And, it's the positives, but people try to use it in the negative and say like, oh, that's racism. It's like, well, no, science does not lie about that, but it's just people don't want to accept it because it's like it's seen as sort of like, oh, you're judging others. It's like, well, no, not necessarily, you know.
Yeah. It's well, I
Like I
mean,
say, if Asian people do not sweat, right? They do not sweat like we
yeah.
do. They can perspire, but they don't sweat. They don't have the stink. Yeah,
Mm.
then they're different, aren't they? They're different. So there's a difference there, right? Asians don't have earwax like we do. Okay, they don't have earwax, so they don't need earbuds.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are
Why do you think
differences.
that is then? I mean, something as simple as earwax.
Don't know.
Where?
It's just, maybe where they live, the temperate climate, could have been a lot, the foods they're eating. It could have been, natural selection. But different races are different. I mean, they look different. They're physiologically different. The brains are different. Yeah. That's not a negative. It can be a positive. You just have to actually realize that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
realize like men are men, women are women. I know you get these men who want to be women and think that, they can mix things around, but it's like,
Uh,
but a man is a man and has certain characteristics, and a woman is a woman and has certain
Come on. What about
characteristics.
a
You
woman
can
who wants to be a man?
That's fine, but they're probably going to be a gruff kind of like, gruff kind of sort of variant version of, It's just the way it is. You
Yeah.
can hide it, you can mask it, you can pretend, and you can hedge around it. But I mean, there's certain facts of facts, and I think science is almost being shifted by kind of like saying, "Oh no, no, we can't." Well, science can't say what is a woman anymore. It's like, really? So what? You mean like life on the planet is like doesn't matter anymore? It's like we're all hermaphroditic, are we? We can just breed with ourselves like a worm. Just cut us in half. We'll make two of us.
That would be
Is that?
scary.
Yeah.
That'd be really scary. I mean, not to say like, I mean, there are species that can do that, but Jesus, that'd be scary if humans could do that. I mean,
This is the controversy about sports, isn't it? Like you get the
yeah,
male athlete transitions to being a woman, starts winning the women's games, and it's unfair,
yeah,
because it's like there are certain things that people don't like to acknowledge, like we're slightly different, not horrifically different, we're different. But that, like women have a certain propensity to a certain nature, a certain type of like, like certain jobs, this is what Jordan Peterson goes on about, and he's been pulled down for it.
Oh boy, look
oh,
at that. Oh no,
you know,
you said that word.
oh
We're gonna
no,
be we're gonna be
Jordan Peterson.
banned
Yeah,
now in
you're gonna
Canada.
you're gonna lose all your 50 subscribers now. That's it,
Yeah.
right? Fucking yeah, whatever. No, 600 subscribers, folks. Sorry, I was just joking. But yeah, he basically says, well, they've tried this in some societies, and they said, well, look, men and women are equal. You can both got the right to do whatever you want to do,
yeah.
and like women still seem to go for like nurse jobs, and men seem to go for like manual labor jobs. It's kind of like there are certain things that seem either ingrained in what society expects. That's a possibility, but it could just be like physiologically, that we gravitate more towards what's in us, like our
Yeah.
natural instinct of what is programmed into us. And for society to go, no, that's completely wrong. Anyone can do anything, and anyone can compete against anyone else. It's like, well, it doesn't work in sports, does it?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm.
It is. And yeah, if we were like some of the other species here on Earth, it'd be I don't know, insane, weird.
I mean, maybe our future is like we're going to have 3 sexes or 4 sexes, but I mean, like, I'm yet to see any new type of genitalia being like produced, to kind of prove that. If
That'd be insane.
if it's being manifested by surgery, then it's not something that you're born with, is it? It's not, like somebody says, I'm born in the wrong body. So what, you're male?
Yeah.
No, or you're female. Oh no, I'm something in between. I'm special. Oh, I'm special. Okay, you're very
Oh yeah,
special.
you're
You're
special.
special. You're a new race of being. Yeah, that's right. You're special. So, okay. Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Anyway, that's getting controversial, but
Yeah.
I believe that, if you want to be something, I'm not saying people shouldn't go and do what they want to do and be what they want to be if it makes them happy, but it's like there are certain realities behind it as well. Like, you have to understand that, you shouldn't really expect to be competing in like female games if you're a male, because
Yeah.
like it's unfair. There are certain, just common sense realities going on here. But some people are just using it to like bend the rules and sort of like, oh, look, I got gold. I got gold. And it's like, yeah, but really? You got gold? When you're a male and you're competing in sports against women. That's why it's more fair to kind of like say, women tend to play sports with women, men tend to play sports with men because
Yeah.
there's differences in the physiology, and it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like, if you want to play a mixed game, fair enough, but if you're going to change sides and expect the game to come down to your level just because you change sides, you're now a woman, and you expect everything to come down to your level, no, just play a mixed game. Then if you want to play a mixed game, that's fine,
Wow, it's just
but yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Changing that. I don't know. Yes. I don't know. I'm not.
Well, we're not. Should we get this back on?
Yeah.
Should we get this back on
Yeah.
paranormal?
Paranormal.
I think it's
Well,
very
that's
paranormal
paranormal,
that
is it? That is paranormal.
men want to have vaginas. I think that's very
Yeah.
paranormal.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Going through that, it just seems painful enough. Come on. Oh
Mm,
God. Oh my
yeah.
God. I got a new assignment for your penis. What? God.
Why is it then, right? Aliens abduct. Well, here we are. I'll give you a hypothetical. It's just
Yeah.
for a joke, right?
Yeah.
Why is it aliens, right, which apparently seem to be asexual, don't seem to have sexual organs, apart from, well, okay, there's a caveat to that, apart from the draconians and the reptilians shagging people. Yeah. But if we go back to just like, gray aliens, then seem
Yeah.
very asexual, then, if they've got this like, they've got these super technologies and they take people up on the craft and all that. Why aren't they changing their sexes then? Why aren't they like bringing people back a different sex?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're analyzing us to recreate the different sexes. I don't know. That's weird. Who the hell knows?
You
Yeah,
know,
I
can you imagine like somebody go because I've been gone for 5 days. My family's been looking for me, but I was on a craft and I've come back and look, I've had a sex change, and it's like they'll just tell you you're
has
crazy. They just say he's been to Mexico.
has anyone ever come forward with that? I've never
No,
heard of that.
no.
Imagine that, eh?
I just thought it was a funny
It is.
concept. It's like they're putting implants in people, and they're like taking out organs. They reckon they're harvesting
Yep.
babies out of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, then, why aren't they just like making a man have a baby and harvesting it out of a man?
Oh, imagine that. Jesus.
But if they've got this super technology, you'd think if we think we can be a man and a woman, and if a man thinks he can have a baby, which he can't right now,
No.
then you'd think the aliens would be like sympathetic to that and kind of like, just date a baby inside a man. But you never hear stories like that, do you?
But I mean, you look at us and how we're fucking screwing around with genetics of different species like insects and whatnot, and even grains and to withstand extreme weather. Who's to say that these aliens won't do that to us?
Matt 420 says Cox fannies give me a coco fanny. That's like that Coco fanny, Coco fanny, Coco fanny. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay.
That's hilarious.
Mm. But
Man.
if aliens are way beyond all of this, and we are told they create babies in vats and things like this, I mean, you'd think if they were asexual, they'd kind of be wanting to offer people like neutering, like nullification on board the craft to like, oh look, we're doing you a favor here. Look, we just turned you into a new species of non-male, non-female.
Yeah.
They never do that, do they? They
No.
put implants in people, and they take babies out of women, apparently, and they take sperm out of men. So the aliens, are very man is a man, woman is a woman. That's what we hear from the abduction scenario. A man is a man for sperm, and a woman is a woman for eggs, but we'll also impregnate them and take the baby. So like aliens are very black and white, like when you think about it, like the abduction scenario is not very woke, is it?
No, not at all.
Like these aliens are not going like, oh yeah, I can put a baby in a man and take it out. We never hear stories like that. It's weird, isn't it?
It's beyond weird.
I just throw that out there. Just like that just occurred to me right now. Like, we don't hear stories like that. We hear stories like that here on Earth, but we don't hear stories like that coming down from aliens. Yeah.
Cattle mutilation is increasing. Sure. But you get into something a little bit more taboo, and human mutilation. I mean, for the longest time, the UFO community did not want to deal with that. The possibility of humans being mutilated like cattle, like animals.
Yeah, maybe even being used as a food source. It's
Yeah.
been put forward as a possibility, like people being harvested and, people disappearing. There's a lot of people disappear every year. There's a lot of children disappear
Yeah.
every year.
There
Where do these people go?
There was a
Do they
case.
just disappear to other countries and new lives, or are some of them actually going like into the stratosphere and maybe into somebody's like an alien burger or a milkshake, probably a milkshake.
But I mean, there was a case in Pennsylvania. I forget whereabouts in Pennsylvania, where a farmer went missing. He was just tending to his fields, and the next thing you know, they found him up top a tree. He had been all his organs had been taken out, and obviously the classic. How the hell did they make these incisions the way they are? They're like seamless. This doesn't make any sense. No, surgeon could do this kind of work. How do we explain this guy how did he get up top a tree and, you know, all his organs taken, blah, 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 no blood left at the scene or at the bottom of the tree or whatever? How do you explain that?
I wouldn't even, what's even more bizarre is like, why dump the body back so everyone can
Yeah.
see it?
Yeah.
That to me is like more of a statement than anything else. It's almost
Yeah.
like as if it's like, ha 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 ha. What are you going to do
Exactly.
about that then? Because the thing is, if you've taken him up on the craft, he's never going to be seen again. Nobody's going to know where he is. He's just going to become a number, a statistic. Yeah. But
Yeah.
to dump the body back with all the parts missing, that's a statement. It's a
Exactly.
statement.
It's a statement. Exactly.
Like you've got a psycho murderer has got some special technique of doing all this stuff that nobody knows about. But is that feasible, or have you got something else? Really doesn't give a shit. Maybe they just don't give a shit, and they're like, well, we've got to dump him somewhere. Let's dump him on a tree because they could, why dump him on a tree? It's like, haha. Well, that'll piss them off. That'll wind them up, but we don't care because there are probably some alien races that treat us like we treat ants, and they don't care about what we think.
Yeah.
So therefore, yeah, just dump it on the tree. That'll wind them up, won't it? They'll be wondering about that for a long time. Because why dump the body at all?
Yeah.
Just take the body and fire it into the sun, throw it into space. If you're an alien craft, why dump it back with all the body parts missing, with extremely exquisite surgery that's been performed?
I mean, it's not like they don't have the technology, right, man?
Hmm.
God. Yeah, it just makes me, it just baffles my mind. Why? I mean, these aliens are obviously far more advanced than we are, because I mean, if they're coming to our, the planet Earth from vast distances, obviously,
Yeah.
why are they doing this?
Protect and survive makes an interesting point. He says, need I remind you of the Clifton Heights, Matt? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, what's he talking about? And I remember, yeah, Clifton Suspension Bridge, I think he's talking about.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong. But again, a statement. Because why did all these scientists who were working on secret military projects, that the government said, no, 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 they're nothing. They didn't work for us. And actually they did. They were working on secret projects. Mostly Asians, all came to Bristol to jump off the Clifton Suspension Bridge.
Really?
Weird.
That is weird.
Coincidence or a statement? A statement by somebody in the government. We know who these spies are. We know who these leaks are. And even if we don't, we're just going to bump you all off as a statement. So therefore, none of you are ever, nobody's going to step out of line now, because they know, step out of line, you'll be suicided. And
Wow.
interesting, but a similar scenario to the aliens. It's almost like, a government can operate with impunity, because
Yeah.
nobody will ever get to the bottom of that one. But it's a statement of power, and maybe this is the statement with the aliens. And I've heard this talked about on TV programs and some podcasts recently,
Okay.
saying something very much along these lines of, why are they showing this, the tic tacs and doing all this stuff? And it's like, because somebody wants to let you know that they are one step ahead of you, or maybe 100 million light years ahead of you. Somebody is trying to tell you in a gentle way, in many different ways, we are here. We're not going to show ourselves, but we're telling you we're here. But we really want, the message we want to give you is, we are the daddies. We are above you. And much like, I think this scenario was put across in one podcast, which was a very interesting point.
Mhm.
If you get cattle,
Yeah.
sheep, dogs, cattle, anything, where you have the human has inserted themselves as the leader of the pack or is providing food, the whole cattle will just line up and seize that person as the boss. So therefore, you get a similar scenario with the aliens. You know, they're coming along and they're just dropping hints here, left, right, and center. By the way, don't forget, we are actually more powerful. So eventually, one day, maybe, when they do show themselves, we'll all just like sheep just gravitate towards them and go, oh yeah, well, see, we know they're powerful because look at all this stuff they've been doing. So that we will gravitate towards them like the sheep would gravitate towards the farmer bringing the bale of hay.
Yeah.
A similar scenario.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all look towards leaders, political leaders and power leaders and the rich and famous, and we all treat them as, you know, people that we should be listening to and gravitate towards, and we naturally do it. Maybe the aliens are trying a similar technique. They're going, oh, you know, you think you know what you're on about, you know, you've got all your machinations and all your stuff, but we just pop in every once in a while and just remind you here
Remind
and
you,
there,
yeah.
ping, 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 ping. We're just sending you little reminders. Because one day maybe they're going to come back in some bigger form, but they just want to remind people, you know, what the real deal is, what the real state of play is.
Do you think they have an like some sort of involvement in our evolution?
I would imagine so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of involvement do you think?
Well, if they've been turning up in the past and showing themselves to people, as the history books are full of stories of flying craft and sightings and visitations and messages. You know, some people might like to think that some of the religious figures of the past might have been sort of, you know, extraterrestrials because of their magic powers that they had. And, you know, any technology which is, as Arthur C. Clarke said, any technology which is sophisticated enough will appear as magic. You know, so to the extraterrestrials, it's just technology or everyday living for them, but to us, it's magic. You know, walking through walls, time travel, incredibly fast speed transport, you know, ability to kind of perform maneuvers and do things with their craft that we can't fathom. It's technology to them or everyday life, you know. You know, like you know, it may be the equivalent of like they have a charge card for their UFO and they refill it. You know, they refill it. You know, and then they can go flying around the universe and kind of doing stuff. You know, like we have a SIM for our phone. You know, maybe who knows? You know, it might free energy. Maybe they pay for it on a card. Aliens maybe pay for it like like we would pay for a mobile phone SIM. But like, whereas a mobile phone SIM just allows you to communicate across a short distance to a network.
Yeah.
Their equivalent with free energy, maybe they buy it and then they go around the universe on it, go through time with it. And it's to them, it's just as much of a everyday whim as us, deciding that we need to top up our gas or electric or, and to them, it's like interstellar travel through time,
Yeah. Well, yeah, so many cultures. Yeah. Speak of these visitors and in their carvings and paintings and hieroglyphs and yeah. What was
I think
it?
Richard Adams in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy called them beepers. Remember
Beepers.
that?
Yeah.
Beepers.
Yeah.
He said, all these UFOs and aliens is the beepers. He said they just like aliens that like to dress up in weird clothing, come down and walk around going beep, 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 because it freaks people out. It freaks people out and they get entertainment from it. They're like, ha, 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 these humans haven't got a clue what's going on. Ha, 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 beepers.
We're walking around mindless. What?
Maybe we're being pranked. Maybe we're like part of a like a television show for aliens where they're like laughing their tits off at how like look how easy these humans are easy to manipulate. Look, we go down. It's like today on Reality Earth, we go down and we test their defense system, and it's like, look, we go whoosh 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 whoosh. They haven't got a clue. Listen to their encrypted radio chatter, which we did, and they're going, we haven't got a clue what's going on, sir.
Yeah.
Like president's on the line. He's like, and it's like, here we are with a secret spy camera in the president's office. He's like, I need a report on my desk immediately. And it's like, and he thinks he's secure. Ha ha ha. And next week on Reality Earth, and it's like maybe we're just a joke, maybe we're just like a reality TV show to aliens. They're just like having a laugh, at like how they can prank us, with like we're so far behind, like we're never ever gonna realize the significance of what they're doing. It's like
Yeah. It just makes you wonder what exactly if they've been visiting and obviously evidence states that they have been visiting. What are they doing? Are they just observing? But I mean, maybe for the most part. I mean, but then you have reports of interaction. You have reports of abduction. You have reports of mutilation. What kind of a observation is unfolding here? I mean, like when are they going to say, "Ah, we're here and we've been doing this"? When are they going to make themselves known? Or what is it going to take for us to do to make them, come forward and say, "Hey, yeah, we've been doing this for X amount of years."
Well, maybe time is running on a different scale to these
Yeah,
aliens. I mean, like
could be.
maybe the universe they come from is running on a different time basis. Like, maybe it does take them time to get here and leave, and so it's been taking such a long time, to kind of go through these abductions and do what they're doing, over like 50 years. Not Maybe it's a hybridization. Maybe they're changing our genetics, which is like, we've heard about this.
Yeah,
Maybe they've been changing us all the way through history. Maybe they've been manipulating us all the way through history like this. But
yeah,
maybe the reason more people aren't being abducted and more people aren't having these experiences because there's a limited amount of these craft doing this stuff, and maybe when they disappear they come back 20 years later.
yeah,
We expect them to go away and come back immediately. Maybe they do come 20 years. It's the same craft, but they're going off shift, like, we got to go back and refuel, and then they come back 20 years later, same craft, but it's 20 years later abducting another person, maybe an army of these craft. But like we think in terms of now, like immediate. Maybe when they zoom back, the same craft maybe doesn't come back for 50, 70 years. So maybe it's an armada of vehicles that aren't really getting here very quickly, but there's a lot of them, but they're it maybe, I don't hear many people talking about this, the time aspect like that, that saying that, we don't know what their time frame is, that they're working by, because maybe to them, this hybridization thing that we're freaking out about seeing UFOs and all this sort of stuff, maybe they're saying, well, that's a 1,000-year project. We've only just started it. We're only just getting begun, and it's going to take 1,000 years, and we've only got 50 craft. But over that 1,000 years, it's going to seem like a lot of craft. But maybe
yeah.
to us it seems like, oh look, this is going on. But to them, maybe that's just like a nothing in time, because for them back home, all those craft might be arriving back at the same time. By the time they get to us, it's like vast differences in time.
What do you think the possibilities of we kind of touched base a little bit earlier, but what do you think about a sort of clone, an Earth clone? I mean, what are the possibilities that there are more Earths out there in the universe? What do you think?
Or even another, remember that movie where there was another Earth behind the sun, but it rotated at exactly the same speed,
Oh
so
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we could never see it because it was
Could never see it.
rotating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what do I think about clones for Earth out in the galaxy? Well, there could be, civilizations which are very similar to us, because they've been
Yeah.
seeded like us. There might be variations in the distance from the sun, the heat, the speed of things. So there could be variations, but I get the feeling that in general, once intelligent, communicative societies are formed, that they will be able to be spoken to or communicated with on some level. They might have very different ideas about how society is organized, but at least you will be able to communicate in some way. You could have like insect um, civilizations which all follow the leader by pheromone smells and don't think for themselves. They literally just like they're ordered by smell,
Yeah.
and do what they're told by the leaders, and they don't think for themselves individually, and like a hive mentality. um yeah, you could have different. We all go on carbon-based life forms, but people have been saying maybe there's like silicon-based life forms
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
other base type life forms that we haven't even discovered. So that would open up a whole possibility for different planets which we don't normally talk about being like ours. So the Drake equation, talking about planets that are like ours, that could develop life like ours. Well, we don't even know what life could exist like on a planet not like ours. Like
Exactly.
completely different, with a completely different like setup of chemicals and makeup. It doesn't. I mean, there may be elements out there in the galaxy that aren't available to us or different. We've got these elements here, but there might be parts of the universe that are
Yeah.
structured differently and have different makeup, so they have different atoms and different properties. So why life should be like us all across the galaxy? I think life could be very varied and even non-physical as well. I think you could have energetic life forms, plasma life forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's again going back to what we were saying about not us not understanding these life forms when they do
Mm.
visit us. We don't we may not notice them. I mean, sure, we notice certain things, but I mean, for the most part, are they visiting us and we don't even notice? I mean, are they
Yep.
doing stuff here on the earth and we don't even notice? I mean, you constantly hear about underwater bases, for instance, you know, mountains, bases in mountains like the brown mountains in South Carolina. There are one notorious spot. You hear about this all the time. I mean, people go, you can go to this ranch and witness a UFO on a nightly basis, guaranteed.
Yep.
You know,
We had a question. What's the slowest uh, eating to excreting life form that we know on the planet? And it was the sloth.
sloth.
27 days from when it takes a bite
Wow,
until it exits the bum,
wow,
the butthole. Yeah,
Jesus,
27 days. Really, really slow life form. So imagine, like, to a sloth, we must seem like scurrying ants, like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
because it, like, maybe its brain runs slowly too, its body runs slowly, maybe its brain runs slowly. I mean, so imagine if you had something that was even slower than that, maybe some sort of plant life form, which takes 1,000 years to kind of live and die, or 10,000 years to kind of grow, like mycelium, like mushrooms. Maybe if we could study these, which, because we only had the technology to like photograph these things growing, but you're only seeing the surface growth, under the ground
yeah,
mycelium, which they think may be able to go through space as well. It's also something that could go through on meteorites into space. Maybe the networks which cover continents, like they reckon mycelium spores,
yeah,
the network could be like a brain. They've been talking about
Yeah,
the
wow.
potential that mycelium spores could be like a brain, and it could actually be thinking, but not like we're thinking, like chatting away
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Its thought processes might be very slow, but if you speed it up, it's like having a conversation and thinking and deciding to do things. You know, it could be like we have an alien life form living on the planet, but by
Yeah.
our time reference, it's standing still. But if you speed it up over 100 years, it could be like you could see it's intelligently doing things, but we haven't had
Crazy.
enough time to study it. So we could have alien life here on the planet right now that's working on a different time scale that is just completely imperceptible to us at the moment.
Exactly. That's insane.
Aha. Aha.
That's insane. But yeah, the thought is real. I mean, that's a realism, man. It's just insane to think that yeah. Well, again, you point out, like, octopuses and spiders and these spores. I mean, these are real possibilities that, hey, these at one point were alien life forms, are now part
Just
of
horrible,
our
horrible, creepy crawly bastards
yeah,
that need to be destroyed immediately. Destroyed with extreme vengeance.
Oh
What was it?
man.
Destroyed with extreme prejudice.
Yes, extreme prejudice.
Extreme prejudice. Destroy now.
Uh,
Protect the president. Yeah.
Matt, we're gonna end this guy.
Oh,
But you know what? We have to do this again, man. I'm
okay.
enjoying this. I'm enjoying this,
Okay.
man.
Talking. This is the sort of things we talk about when I get like drunk or like somebody's giving me some illicit
No,
substance.
no.
Like we go on
It
like
was
18-hour like benders, like
yeah.
watching like watch this movie, and then you're like rah rah rah. This is like we always put movies on and just like what did you think of that then? Blah 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 blah. And it's like great, but yeah,
But no, it's been really cool, man. I mean, some of the stuff that we've chatted about is it's been really insightful, really, really cool, man. And
I've enjoyed it. This has been a
yeah,
good one actually. Yes.
it has. It has. It's been really good,
Mm.
and really appreciate you coming on, and definitely would love to have you back on again. Do this again.
I will. You just have to ring me.
I will
Keep
ring
on
you.
me because you know what I'm like. As I said, like I'm
Exactly.
so easily distracted. Just ring me.
Of
We'll
course, Matt. You're
Yeah,
not too
ring me.
busy tonight. Hopefully, you're not busy tonight. Come on.
Just ring me. And if you haven't got my number, don't, because I don't want to hear from you. But if you know me, ring me. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everybody who tuned in and watched and whatever else. Nightlife, Michelle exploring with Eden Valley, Smith, Matt, Michelle. Oh
Bearded
my God,
Drifter, Melissa
Drifter.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, Dinkum was
Blood
in there.
Dimby. He says he's still
God,
got 8
Adam.
beers left. Yeah, well, the night's young. Oh, no, it's not
Mitch.
actually. It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it's 5 o'clock
It's
your
not
time.
young. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
young.
Well,
Jesus.
it's early now for you.
Mm.
Yeah. Take care, my friend.
Okay.
All right. Till
I'm
the
just
next time.
maybe I'll go live, folks. For those that know me, maybe I'll go live because I fancy I could probably down a
He's
couple more pints
he's
before
revved up. He's ready to
before I
go,
st
man.
look before I start going. Yeah, yeah, which does happen. So so
They're saying, "Do it, Matt. Do it, Matt."
do it. All right then. Yeah.
All
We'll
right,
talk
man.
about some silly stuff now. Not anything sensible or existential. We'll just talk bums and
What is
tits now.
sensible though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Lowest common denominator. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Take care, everyone. Take care, Matt.
Cheers now. All the
Cheers.
best.
Bye
Bye.
bye.